Good evening, y'all. Hey, Frank, Benjamin, Jen, T Girl. It's good to see y'all. Ronan, thank you for being up here with me.
It's my pleasure. It's good to see everybody.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Good.
It was a somewhat nice day. It was warm out. It didn't really rain, but it was gloomy. So I still got a chance to do a bunch of stuff outside. I mowed the yard and planted some seeds in the garden. So it was good.
Goodness, you had a busy day. That's good. Yeah, it's still 85 here. Hot day.
I think it wasn't quite that warm today, but it was in the upper 70s, so it was really nice. It was welcome, that's for sure. Hopefully the cold spells are behind us now up here in Ohio.
Yeah, I can imagine. No, I can't. We don't like the cold down here. It starts getting under 50, and I'm like, no.
Well, that's what was hard for me because like last week it went from 40 to 70 like within a matter of days, and it's just
Hmm.
kind of a shock on the body. I don't know, was for me anyway.
Yeah, it is. And well, we were having like 80s during the day, and then it would get down to 40s at night. Because I remember saying air conditioner during the day, heat at night, just for the hedgehog. I swear my daughter is going to burn me up with that hedgehog.
Hedgehog needs it warm.
It supposedly it can't have under 73 degrees. It, that's what's in my daughter's head. And so sometimes I'll be sitting here and I'm like burning up and go in there and the thermostat's on. Well, it's off. She just has it completely off. And it's like 80 degrees outside. And what are you thinking?
Is the is that Sonic the Hedgehog?
What do you mean?
The hedgehog's name, I guess growing up we had a video game, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, okay. I think this one is Penelope. She's had so many animals. The two guinea pigs, they passed away. So trying to keep all their names straight is difficult because I don't interact with them a lot, especially the hedgehog because they're prickly and but he's pretty nice and calm. But they don't have a very long life expectancy, and so
Hmm.
she needs them right now. We had a close friend pass away, and so the girls are all gathered over there. Hungarian son-in-laws making spaghetti.
Yeah, it's when you definitely need to spend time with the people you love, is going through those kinds of things.
Yeah,
That's
and
when family's important.
yeah, they all need each other. I don't know why mom's not the one at those times. I mean,
I
I,
think I think it kind of just depends on the situation, is all.
yeah. Hi, Sharon. Yeah, I don't know if she slept at all last night. She was up pacing. We
Well, make
seem,
sure she's drinking a lot of water, and because that's important, especially when you're going through hard times and you forget to eat, you lose your appetite, you don't stay
yes,
hydrated. It's not good.
that's true. And it causes more stress. Any stress on the body. Lots of water. So, chat, what are y'all thinking about these headlines? You know what? I'm thinking it's, I've seen where this woman is filing charges against Hunter for child support. Love you, Benjamin. And then I just saw where Congress is filing an indictment for something not even what it should be, I feel like. But um, so I'm wondering if that's the distraction, and then by Joe's already setting up to pardon him. So I wonder if that's the distraction from lifting 42.
Honestly, I don't know. I know there's so much going on right now, and it's just like this powder keg is just ready to blow between the border, between what they're doing to Trump, what they're doing with Hunter, our economy. We're pretty much out of money as of June 1st. There's when the government doesn't have enough money to pay its debts. Everything is just falling apart right now in these moments. All the people I've watched on YouTube and stuff like that over the years and this and they're all putting pictures of the southern border up and it's and then we have the Texas the mall in Allen, Texas and just the
Yes.
horrific things that have gone on there. Some guy ran into a crowd of people with his vehicle. It just seems like I don't know. It's just this is such a heavy time, and like I said, it just seems like one little spark and this whole powder keg could go up in smoke.
Yep. Hi, the cat. Good to see you. Yep. They're definitely pushing to divide. Keep on about the trans everything. It, it's just crazy. Here's one sheriff in Texas. We'll let y'all listen to what he has to say. And he's running for Senate, actually.
Hey folks, Sheriff Lamb here. So, truth is becoming harder and harder to find, especially from our politicians and the media. So, I wanted to give you some truth today, a little truth bomb. Joe Biden recently announced he's sending 1,500 troops to the border. While I applaud him sending that, I want the American people to understand that this is not to protect our border, to keep people from coming into this country illegally. Those 1,500 soldiers will be there to process people into this country a lot faster, so that you, the American people, don't realize what a disaster this border crisis is. And that is the truth. If you want more truth, make sure you come follow me at sherifflambforsenate.com and make sure you support us today. God bless. Stay safe.
Yeah, to process.
Wow,
That's
I didn't even think of that.
that's why there's so few of them, because other sheriffs were saying, no, we don't need 1,500. We need 15,000 or 150,000, not 1,500.
Well, I mean, at what point does the governor activate the National Guard and line them up along the border himself? I don't know why he hasn't done that yet.
He has um, 10,000 that he sent down there. And what they're doing is they're putting up the razor wire along the wall. And but when they get to those points where Border Patrol is in control, they have to stop right there with the wire. They they can't interfere with the processing because, and so that's where I'm so confused, because federal government is the Border Patrol. He may be in Arizona, David. I don't know. Sheriff Lamb, I know I've heard the name. But so then, but the National Guard is for the state. So I'm confused as to why they don't have more power over the border control.
They they do, but that's civil war. That's how civil war would start. It would be the National Guard kicking out the federal government out of Texas and saying, "No, we got this. You go away. If you want to process people, have them come up through California or some other place, right? Process them in Mexico or do whatever. Get off our land. This is Texas soil." If I was Texas, I wouldn't even bother him. I would say, okay, this is because I've been down on that road. There's a road that goes right along the fence and to the right, depending on which way you're traveling. But towards the borderway, that's where you see the border patrol vehicles and stuff cruising up and down that way along the fence. I would post up my National Guards just behind them. Where's that line? Is it that highway? I'd find it.
Yeah. Well, I know that they're mostly using I-10 is the main highway because it goes straight from there to San Antonio to Houston to wherever. And it's not very far from me. So it's concerning for me. And that's why I keep bringing up the border. It's like, I just feel like I'm on the front line, but
You are.
yeah, yeah. Good night, David. Get some rest.
Good night.
That's true to Cat. And then, so I was reading Deuteronomy 28, the whole chapter, and um, it's talking about the curses of if the people fall away from God. And in the curses, it describes a lot of this that's happening. So I'm kind of wondering, is this our punishment? You know, because as a whole, have a lot of people turned away from God.
Well, I don't know. However, when we read in the Old Testament, we're in a unique situation compared to them who lived during that time, right? We
That's
live
true.
we have this salvation in Jesus Christ and the promise we have in him. But God is the same today, yesterday, and forever, right? So, I mean, the way we read and we take in these lessons and we see how God works and we see how he's jealous for us. He loves us. He disciplines us. He brings us in closer to him, those of us that are his children.
Yeah.
So it seems like a lot of times we can kind of not get caught up in the world and their judgment. We have salvation through Jesus. The world will be judged, and it's not going to be good for them, right?
Yep. That's true. Does he need to go out?
He does. I gotta tend to my master here. I'll be right back.
Okay. Hey, Kino. Good to see you. Let's see what that says. A lot to say if, yeah. I just see a lot more people turning to God. And I keep seeing headlines saying that the younger generations are turning away from Christianity. And that may be because to me, it's a, there's a difference there. What they're calling Christianity could be the churches and the teachings that a lot of us are not agreeing with. And so it's more being a believer and holding on to that faith and knowing that He's right here with us through all this. We're not alone. Even if we are alone, we're not alone. Amen to Cat. Our only hope and salvation is in Him. And no matter what happens, we have to keep that faith. That's where we find our peace. That's where we know we're loved. We know that we just try to do things to please Him. Hi, Susie. How are you? And so, for a while, I've been talking about building communities or building tribes or whatever it would be called. And in a lot of ways, I think it'd be good to go back to the old ways, more traditions, more like I don't even know how to explain it. Making our own traditions. Um, People seem to disagree on dates of things, and does it really matter? The birth of Jesus happened, and if we're celebrating on one certain day all together, isn't that what's important? And
It is.
yeah,
And then if I could add to that,
please.
I think you and I may have talked about this before, but we often hear that um, verse, or it's only a half a verse that people often say that my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, or my people are will perish for a lack of knowledge. Or the whole verse. This is ESV version, but nevertheless, the whole verse is my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because you have rejected knowledge. I will reject you from being priests to me. And since you have forgotten the law of your God, I will also forget your children. Now, above this verse in the same chapter, this is in Hosea chapter 4. That was verse 6 that I read if people want to look it up and read around it. Prior to that, in the same chapter, um, I'll read, starting at verse 1. Hear the word of the Lord, O my children of Israel. For the Lord um, has controversy with inhabitants of the land. There is no faithfulness nor steadfast love, and no knowledge of God in the land. So my point with this is in verse 6, when it talks about my people will be destroyed or are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. It's not knowledge in the land. It's not a lot of these things that we even talk about, dates, like you had just said, oh, traditions and these things, and those things are ancillary. I believe it doesn't matter. The knowledge that's important, that is being conveyed through these verses, is the knowledge of Jesus Christ, our Savior. And as we know, the Jews rejected Christ. They said he is not our Messiah. right? Not all, I shouldn't say all of them, some of them, and then those that during that time had converted to be followers of Jesus Christ, right?
Right.
And begin that way. So, and it's having that knowledge and knowing that Jesus Christ came to this world through a virgin, God made man, he was crucified for our sins, he was buried, and he raised again. He rose, right? And we
Yeah.
rose with him. That's what he said. We resurrected with him when he resurrected. We are different people in my, because of this in this time than people were during the days of Deuteronomy in the Old Testament. We have that resurrection, right? We
That's true.
won't we won't be destroyed. Our bodies will be laid to rest in the ground like everybody's will be at one point, right? None of us will ever escape that. However, that's not our destruction because we will go up and ascend and be with our Savior and our Father, right?
Yes. And that's what we need to protect is our souls. They can kill our bodies, but they cannot kill our soul.
Yep. So even when you hear like the lies about the youth are rejecting religion or this stuff and the other, I wouldn't get too wrapped up in that because I think what we're seeing is perhaps the religion and the traditions we've had up to this point were also somewhat influenced in a negative way, perhaps. And what I've noticed, even in my lifetime, right, when I look back in with with through the lens of religion, you had when I was a young man, for example, there wasn't a lot of these undenominational churches, right? You had your Pentecostals, you had your Baptists, your Catholics, Lutherans, all the regulars, I suppose. But at some point, and maybe they've been around more than I know, I just happened to come across them as I think maybe in college or after that, where they're non-denominational, right? And a lot of these churches that I went to, they just read out of the Bible, they taught out of the Bible. Um,
Hmm.
they didn't, have a. It wasn't that fancy, I guess. They're organized, I should say. It was more spirit led, and we see a lot of the. Um, I think we see a lot of more modern praise and worship songs and these kinds of things that the kids are singing coming out of that more basic, if you will. Uh, I see it as a more basic form of studying and getting to know Christ.
Yes. And yeah, I've heard some people have a problem with the worship songs, but if that's I've seen the spirit move when you're praising him like that and singing to him.
And the Lord told us to make a joyful noise, right?
Yes.
You'll always have that. It seems like it didn't matter, and I think in part, I get caught up in that whole, oh, back in my day we did things this way, right?
Hmm.
And I don't know, it's sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes I think it inhibits growth.
Well, we're definitely heading in a different direction with life, and that's there's so many things that I just want to pass down to my children and grandchildren so that they can continue, excuse me, so they can continue on hopefully the right path. Some will stray, I know this, and all we can do is plant that seed. And even when they stray, if that seed is there, they will. return. Excuse me. The wind has picked up and there must be some pollen in it. And um, my granddaughter, well, and my daughters, they went to a youth group, and I think the youth groups are really good for them if you can find a really good one. That they just seem to learn so much more. That there's camps and there's spirit fests and the things that kids enjoy at these camps. They have the zip line. They have all kinds of things that they can do there. So it makes it more enjoyable while they're learning. And it's also teaching them too how to treat others, because when you go to those camps, there's people from all over that meet there. And I've never heard of one single problem between the groups, or so that's where I feel that God is the foundation. That the it has to be. He has to be the foundation of your life, of your home.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he
And
lost.
now, especially in this time, I think, they say there's no atheist in a foxhole.
Yeah,
So when things getting as interesting as they are, I could see revival and revolution occurring at the same time.
Carl. Hi, Nora. Yeah, I've seen too many try to say it's not real, and can't convince me of that. Eh, What? I'm 200 miles. Chuck is quite a bit further away. He's about 5 hours east of me, 5 or 6 hours. I'm right there. Put the link if what or the cat would like to get in this discussion. Carl, Nora, how are you, Nora? I don't know. I think it's gonna get kind of crazy here. I've seen the camps on the U.S. side. They're not even waiting to let them on the U.S. side, which is so we go back to the Constitution, and it's like I don't know what they're doing up there in Congress and Senate. I don't know that they're working for the people. I don't see how how in the world this has gotten this far. I read an article a while ago about Ukraine and Russia, and um, some of the people refused to leave this one city, and uh, the Ukrainians said that they would shoot if they tried to go to Russia, that they are only allowed to go back to Ukraine. Those people are in a tough spot there, too.
Yep.
I hate to see it get that bad here, but it's possible. I know that people are really triggered about this whole border thing, and it's all across the United States because everyone is seeing the results of this.
Yeah. And what makes it bad is our government failed us.
Yes,
They failed us, stole our money, sold our land, sold us off as slaves, and have disappeared, left us to die.
I think that's kind of the goal
Yep.
for whatever reason. Um, but then I see an article and it says because they tried to get people to quit having so many kids, and they said they knew how to do that. They had a plan in place to lower the population, but now they're wanting to increase the population and they don't know how to do that. Well, promote marriage, promote family, promote, you know, all the good things that make that happen.
Well, I mean that they've already gone too far just by having that conversation. In my opinion, they don't need to be in the
Yes,
family business,
the
right?
government has no business in the family at all. Hi, Decat. How are you?
Hello.
Fine. How are you tonight?
Fine, thank you.
I'm just glad to be able to partake in the conversation here and lift up the Lord. Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, rabbits.
So I come in a little bit late. I wasn't there when you first come on, but I found you were live, so I figured I'd jump up here if I could, or at least participate and chat.
So, this comment right here, also talking about us as Americans, we'll have to open our homes for them to stay with us. So, that's been the battle kind of about the border from the beginning. As Christians, do we take these people in that are trying to find a better life and all of this? But I've seen all the money that's been sent to these southern countries. And so where'd that money go? If the people are so desolate that they would make that trek, and it's not the trek that they are showing us. It's there's other means that they are getting to the border, and but I can't imagine 146 countries trying to get here for a better life when they can see what's happening to our country. Just seems like, could it be for votes? Could it be for, oops, hey Bruce, sorry about that. Hi Bruce.
That's all.
Hello.
That's all right.
How you doing, Bruce?
Oh, hanging in there, Rana. Are you guys
Pretty
Doing
good.
good.
okay? Yeah, Bonnie. If you want to check your email, I don't know whether you saw my message or not, but it
Yes,
might
I did.
alleviate some confusion for you. There's a map there on what that buffer zone you and I talked about here a few months ago, and everything else. Kind of show you where it's at.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I think that's why
Hey Sean, John.
it's kind of a fine line for Texas or any of the border states to stake their claim clear to the border. The way I am understanding that, 100 miles in, it's still federal area where, and like Rano said, it could start a civil war if things get too out of hand.
Yes. And see, that's what I was told, 100 miles in. And then
Yeah,
somebody said, no, it's only 10. And I don't think it's only 10 because the checkpoints are 50 miles in.
yeah,
So and I knew it was further than 10.
yeah,
And so if it's 100 miles in, then I'm 100 miles from that.
yeah. So you're all right then, but those poor people that are
They
on
only
the
have to,
border towns, and well, look at Florida. There's hardly anything in Florida that's not on both sides of the Gulf, where the feds can do about anything they want to a point, but most of it, for them to do anything, has to do with immigration and things like that. Is what they can do without a warrant, is look in your vehicle and things like that for illegals, and that's all they can do. As for looking for drugs or anything else, they need a probable cause or a search warrant to do that part of it.
yes.
Yeah,
And
those.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Bonnie. I apologize.
Well, and that's in my county and surrounding counties. That's where if someone has a light out, that's where they're stricter with those rules because they have confiscated so much drugs in those kind of traffic stops, so much armory, and so I'm glad that they're doing that to people who are passing through these counties.
Yeah,
Just leave the locals alone.
yeah.
And the cat, I didn't do anything, so okay. I don't know what happened to you that you got booted out.
No, I thought I'd send that to you and everything, so it might alleviate some confusion on why they do what they do. So it's kind of more visual than trying to comprehend it at times. I know how that goes at times.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I
And
drove through one of those checkpoints that you'd mentioned in Texas, and they actually X-rayed the whole vehicle. There was big signs that were saying, you're approaching checkpoint. Vehicle will be X-rayed, and then and they do that. You just drive through. There's like these goofy looking machines on the side of the road. Then you drive into this barn, and the border patrol stops you there. They asked me, like, I think they said, where are you from, or nationality, or citizenship, or something like that. I just said I'm American. I was born here. They're just like, keep going, you know. But
yeah,
they knew what was in that car via those X-rays before I even got to that barn where the people were.
and see, Camperman, it's good to see you. What Camperman is talking about, the the I've seen the brand new buses, and so are they getting that treatment also? Because they're moving in the middle of the night, and so that's odd right there. And um, where are they taking them?
Oh,
And
they,
what else is in there besides people?
Good point, Bonnie.
there's different like processing facilities and like ice facilities throughout the entire United States. So I mean, they could bus them up to Denver, Colorado. There's one in Aurora there I know of. They could be taking them to Chicago. They could be taking them, to any one of these to process them, to let them free and whatever, wherever they want, for the most part. They hook them up with money and everything they need and turn them loose.
That's true, Echo. Good point there. Harboring, because that's the way it's been. I mean, always before, if you had illegals in your home, you could get in big trouble. They call them coyotes if they're transporting them or helping them.
So then, can we hold the Biden administration accountable for human trafficking over international borders?
That is the whole thing. Human trafficking, um, allowing an invasion of the country. There's so many things that I think he should be held accountable for. It's
It's called rules for thee and not for me on the federal government side.
yep,
Yep. Human trafficking is a crime in the world courts. So that's where you sometimes, who is it, the UN or NATO or different
yeah,
organizations, sometimes you hear put, uh, I want to say warrant out for someone's arrest, but I don't even know if that's right. But like different, like Interpol and those guys.
Yeah, the world court's in The Hague over, I think, in Romania or someplace over in that general area. Czechoslovakia, I think. I'm not sure.
if they come willingly, it's not trafficking.
I don't believe that because, for example, these people that get arrested for prostitution and like the pimps and stuff like that, they're charged with human trafficking, and these women want to work the streets, right? That's what they're doing, but yet they still get pinched with as much as they can, and in part, human trafficking is it.
Yes,
And then we can get into like what if it's with children? What does the child know if he wants to or doesn't want to, kind of a thing.
sounds like a plan.
No telling what promises were made to them to cooperate.
Hi, Ron. Yes, I agree with that. Interpoli's person of interest. Hey, Hop, good to see you.
Hey, Hawk.
Drop the link again. I'm sure Hawk has something to say. Yeah, deception is right. No, that's in seeing. I mean, all you got to do is look at the videos of the border. New shoes, new clothes, um, new backpacks. Just haven't
Any
seen anybody bring me new shoes and new clothes lately.
and I don't know if this was done like intentionally, but all the pictures I've seen of people lining up on the board, the herd, the giant herd that's there of people, it's the
Hmm.
majority young men.
Yes, and yes, I do believe that's intentionally. And so, and that's I've seen videos of um, the southern countries, and they're they're training those children from like 6 years old and up how to fight, how to shoot a gun, how to they're they're it's a whole different world than here. Here we try to be peaceful people, I think, for the most part. Um, everyone keeps on about the conservatives and the far right and the all this stuff, but I have noticed they're holding back. They are being very peaceful, in my opinion, and it's the it's it's not us. I don't know who it is. I don't know who's controlling that, but I definitely think it's a control of some sort by somebody.
If we knew
Yeah.
how to follow the money, that would be the way to do it. But
I don't know. I think we all know who the perpetrators of this evil is. It's just no one will go get them. They're the ones with the power in the military. You know, why didn't Trump do anything better when he was in office and he had the chance to?
Yes. And that's another thing is okay, in this country it has been so long since we've had those diseases that people are vaccinated for, and but these other countries, they do not do that unless it's Doctors Beyond Borders or something like that coming down there when they have an outbreak of something. I've seen that done for years, years and years. And but so it's the diseases that are coming in with them. I've noticed when I go to the doctor, they're really pushing to get a TB test. So there must be a lot of cases of TB that are popping up.
that makes sense on what all's coming across from all sides, just not down south.
Yeah,
Because that was one of the standard deals when Ellis Island was open, was all that screening and all of that stuff and everything, TB and smallpox, whatever else was coming along over there on the boats and everything. They were really on the ball about that stuff, but
yeah,
there was no cutting slack or mercy or anything. You got it, you go this way no matter what.
Now, I thought they were sending the buses down in Mexico and further and picking people up and driving them up through Mexico into the United States. However, I may be mistaken about that.
That'll probably work too if they want to get the sleeper cells in here for the soldiers and stuff. What better way to do it besides bus them in?
yes. And the buses that I saw were coming into the United States from the South.
For a while before Mr. T put a squash to it, they were flying full blown C-130s and everything down there to pick them up and fly them in instead of bussing them in. They were flying them all the way up here from Central America.
Yep, I remember that too. Yeah,
Yes. And so those aren't even counted. If they're flown in from the other side, they're not even counted. That's not even in the count. And so what I'm seeing right now is posting 13,000 a day. And this is before all of these that are waiting. That's a lot of people.
Yeah,
And so those governors whining about 5,000 being transported to their sanctuary city, as they say they are. As far as I know, Texas is not a sanctuary state. I don't know about Arizona and California. I think California is.
yeah, I think so.
I think so too. And it's usually sanctuary cities like Denver, Chicago, probably New York, and some other big name cities like that.
Houston.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's why, so when they say that they're um, just picking and choosing, like whoever they don't like, or making sure that it's blue cities or whatever, well, those cities are the ones who are claiming to be sanctuary cities. If you don't want them, don't be a sanctuary city. I
Or a
mean,
state.
or a state, right?
Oh, my favorite part of this whole mess was when when Florida sent illegals up to Obama up in wherever the heck he was building his new mansion further up north, and they bust him right up into that rich neighborhood. They didn't know how to get him out of there fast enough.
Martha's Vineyard.
Yep, Martha's Vineyard. Thank you. Yep.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
And did you see the the interviews though, and the immigrants were saying that they were abused because did they didn't want to go there, and so that was a big blame on Texas. Texas has so many lawsuits against it right now. It ain't even funny.
Have you
And
seen have you seen the estimates of who of how many are waiting to storm the border Thursday
yes,
once
30,000 Chinese, and
total 700 million
yeah,
waiting.
and and we only have 300 and something million population in the whole United States.
Mm-hmm.
So how's that going to work out?
Red Dawn without a firing a shot.
Yep.
Kind of makes you wonder on where people's heads have been for years. And I don't think it's going to go as planned to start with, with the elites and all of that. It ain't going to go as planned. Once they get here, you're just another person to them, whether you're going to cooperate or not. If not, see you later. Sayonara.
Yeah. Hey, Garrett.
Because they're not going to need them once they get a foothold in here, but they think they will.
Well, I know that for us it's overwhelming, but ultimately we come back to know the knowing we have in Christ, and that, our Heavenly Father cares about us and He can compel the hearts of men. They're His creation. So these people coming over the border, I'm not intimidated or even scared that much by them. On one hand, I realize a lot of what we've been hearing from the media is all lies anyway. So, like, why would I believe this lie? It's probably not as bad as it sounds. Perhaps I'm absolutely wrong and it's worse. I don't know. And that's part of the brainwashing, part of the keeping you scared and keeping you on the edge of your seat and always in anxiety and distress that way. I mean, it's good. I like being able to come here and kind of vent a little bit, talk about things, but ultimately, I'm not scared of them. You know,
I'm I'm on the fence there. I'm a little worried about it. I mean, that's a whole lot of people, so that I haven't seen my area touched by much of that yet, but at that amount, unless they are directed in a certain direction completely, if it's by highway or whatever, then I'm not too worried about that. But if it's on ground, on foot, that could be an issue.
I mean, it's going to be an issue for them because I have the solution.
Well,
So
yeah.
it's going to be their problem, not mine. And if you think about it, what about our local sheriffs and the police department, all the folks that sign up to protect the local communities? Forget the federal government, throw them right out the window. Don't need them. We got ourselves, we got our neighbors, and everything we need to form our own. What are those things called? Community watch or crime watch or whatever you want to call it.
Yes. And that's what I said. Sometimes it's good to be in a nosy town. And I think that that is part of the, um, like, it's like, why Texas? What we do? And that's what we did. We have so many communities that look out for each other and are doing the things that they don't want us to be doing, that I think that's why they don't like us much. And so, um, I don't know. I just hope that they don't get into the smaller communities, because they will get resistance.
And I think what we're going to see is they're going to flood these sanctuary cities. They're going to have standing there, and they're going to try to continue manipulating the votes and having the cities of large populations control the electoral, all the votes and stuff that each states get. All these, you know, when we're looking at electing a president, that's the game, electoral college, right? How many electoral votes can we get from one guy to the other? And the states are all run by the big cities, right?
Yes.
So in Chicago, it doesn't matter how many people around that uh, in the state of Illinois vote. They could all vote Republican. All it takes is the city of Chicago to vote Democrat, and that's it, right? Those electoral votes go to the Democrat Party all the time. I think what they're doing is securing that. We see in this day and age, I mean, here recently in the last year or two, normal people are fleeing the city, right? They don't know how to sell and get out of there fast enough. Normal people like us. And they're making room for this caravan of new Democrat voters because that's what they are. That's all they need to do is secure that vote, and they'll keep doing exactly what they're doing to us right now because we're all just sitting here doing nothing about it because we really can't do much. I mean, we what we can do is live our lives, not have this fear overcome us. Grow some food, get some chickens, put a smile on your face, and enjoy the sunshine because that's what
Yes.
life is. It's not to
Yes.
be stuck in this perpetual fear. So in my mind's eye, all I see is they're securing their vote. They're going to keep manipulating and lying and cheating. And how else could you explain such a moron of a man running the greatest nation on this planet? Now that has been debated, right? But however, America has definitely made a significant mark in world history like no other country, right? Like no other land,
Yes.
regardless of what they say about us today.
You kiss off.
So
Heck of a legacy to leave behind for the world on what's going on right now, all the bad stuff, and be a textbook for other countries on what we're doing for the same thing for their countries if they want to go for it.
well, I know a lot of countries in Europe had floods of refugees coming up from the Middle Eastern countries.
Yes. That's
When
that's what I was going to say. I think it's the French that are having an influx of immigrants, and uh, they show their streets, and they're just lined with people. Um, the ones at the border that I was seeing video of, Anthony Aguero, Ag, some, Ag, however you say his last name, he was showing, and there's no porta potties out there like you see in El Paso. So then you've got that going on, and um, I would just really hate to be in one of those border towns right now. And it's really sad because um, years ago we would go visit Del Rio and then go over the border and go shopping, and those days are just gone with the cartel taking over Mexico. It you're just you're risking your life even crossing the border now.
do you guys remember an operation called Too Fast, Too Furious, where one of the former presidents basically armed the Mexican cartel, sold them weapons? It's called Too
I
Fast. Pardon?
I, I believe that's happening now.
Well, Obama did that. It was a big deal, and they're all, it was in plan since then. Armed them up, and that's when Trump was president, Mexico was acting a little differently. They had their borders closed. They were processing people. The rule was if you're fleeing your country and you're coming in using a refugee status, you have to claim in the next country you go into, right? So
Yes.
they were stopping them in Mexico and processing them there.
Yeah, Obama and his attorney general got caught. I forget what his name was, but they had all hearings and all of this, and nothing happened, which was they had him dead to right, but they didn't do anything. So go figure.
Yeah. Hi, Becky.
You know, Eric Holder was his attorney general.
Yeah, and I remember when he was in office, the buses that came in then through Texas, charter buses with DPS escort,
Yep.
and no idea where they took them, but I know they came through.
They went to military bases and got distributed until somebody put the kibosh on it. I think with some county sheriffs, they can't touch them while they're on the base, but they sure let them have it when they came off the base and into their county and everything. They were making their lives miserable, and I think they changed their mind.
Yep. Yes, we can't have fear. Um, it's not, well, I guess it's fear. I don't know. It's the concern of being to protect all of mine. And even though it's a family of hunters, um, it's still, I just feel the responsibility of looking out for my family no matter what.
I agree on that, Bonnie. There's nothing wrong with that, hon. Nothing whatsoever.
I agree. Yep.
Well, sometimes it feels like a heavy load, like
It is,
a,
it is a heavy load when you see what all could happen. You know,
yes,
the
and
what
that's,
if. A lot of times the what if don't become reality, but when it's all staring you in the face, it's big fat maybe.
yes. And am I enough?
Well, and
And
it's this trauma added on top of us just having the great lockdown, right? Like, let
mhm,
us not forget what they put us through. They robbed me of my life. They locked us all down in our homes, lied to us, stole time from us that we'll never get back, right? So these are the things that they have already done. They've proven themselves to
succeeded in.
us. Yep.
Yes.
And now here we still are with the same demons torturing us with these other things. I'm not scared of them, don't get me wrong. And
No.
I feel for you, Bonnie. I can't imagine, for right now, it's just me. As far as safety goes, I'm safe, right? But having a group or a tribe of people around us, that's the difference, I suppose, where, you're the mother, right? If you have that
Yes.
motherly instinct to keep them safe.
Yes.
However, when you're in a tribe, everybody has, or a tribe or a group or whatever you want to call it, everybody has a role. Everybody has their talents, and they know what they're good at, and that's what they're expected to do, right?
Absolutely.
So
And
you,
and and that's it, is in doing that, giving each person a job to do, no matter how minor they think it is, or I mean, there's so many things that people can be doing that they don't realize. And so that, going back to, me right here, okay, but I also know people that are the same, And it's that goes back to getting to know the people around you and kind of it, it's a vetting process. Whenever the man came out for an estimate to clear the brush off of my mother's property, that the ice had torn all the branches down, and just talking to him for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, I kind of got to know the person he is. He sells fresh eggs. He's a whole lot cheaper than the farmer's market. And so through him, a few more connections, and that's how we do it, I think, is we just keep talking to people. And it doesn't even have to be, because I was thinking it had to be like, well, where do you stand on all this? Just a direct hit. No, it's just, you just start talking about, because I was telling him what I wanted to do out there. And he was like, yep, we're doing that. We're doing that. We homeschool our kids. And the conversation just kind of evolved from just something simple like that. And so that's where you find comfort, also knowing that there's others out there. You're never alone as much as you think you are. For sure we have God. And so that's going to keep our soul and spirit safe. But at the same time, physically, you want to also know who's going to be there for you physically.
Yeah, your approach was great, Bonnie. Just you can find out a lot more instead of like if you wanted to ask him where you stand on this, this, and this, because he don't know where you stand, so he's going to answer a certain way and everything. It's just a conversation. You can find out a lot by just talking to him, and
Yes. Or
and
he wouldn't say anything at all, because
yeah,
that's what a lot of people are doing, is just not talking. And so it's kind
yeah,
of like,
indirect info gathering the way you did it, and that was awesome. Good for you, hon.
thank you. Well, that's what I've been trying to figure out myself and telling other people, you know, just, well,
What's
Hawk, I've been thinking about that.
what's your girls think about all of this crap that's happening, or are they even concerned about it, Bonnie? I'm not knocking them, but I'm just kind of wondering if there's anything.
They're concerned. They're trying to um, just live lives as normally as can
That's
while they
cool.
can, and which I'm all for. Um, One of them was talking about taking a trip to San Francisco, and I was kind of like, no, not now. And then um, we talked about it, and she was right. Why should she be denied, a little vacation to just get away from things? And she may even be better off there for a little bit. Who knows? I don't
Where-
know.
Where's her uncle live out there in California? You might keep that in mind too to help her out.
Yeah, and she would be close by to
That's
him.
cool. That's cool.
And then he's coming here later, and so that's going to be an interesting time of discussion too, because I
What's
know California's been getting hammered with a lot of stuff too. And um, it's
what's
hard to talk to him with his wife, because she's very
opposite of us?
sort of, She just doesn't want to hear it. She just wants to ignore it, and it'll go away.
Yeah.
Is I think, and I know a lot of people with that mindset also. If I just ignore it and keep living my life, it'll just go away or bypass me or whatever. And so that's not a very good attitude to have, because here we are getting all this knowledge of everything that's happening, and why. And so we have to use that knowledge. We can't just ignore it. We can't just let it go. There's I am so appreciative of all the knowledge I've gained in YouTube, and hopefully hopefully I think there's more people watching than we think there are.
Yeah.
You know, I know I'm not seeing names that I recognize, but still at the same time, like when my son came to visit and I would show him something and he's all, yeah, I saw that. And I was like, what, really? And then the girls will show me something. Have you seen this? And I say, yes. And how are you seeing it? And it's just, it's all communication. Communication is key. And even you know, if we lose the internet, if we lose everything, that's why you need to have people close by you to communicate with. That and even teaching them different forms of communication that might not be detected by others.
Sounds like you got some good informants going on there.
Yeah, Bonnie's on top of it. Shoot, I'm going down there. Forget about it.
Oops. Yeah,
Well,
I'm not going to share all of my strategies, but yeah, I'm
no, that,
trying to figure it
no,
all
that's awesome. Your daughters are doing that. That's awesome.
out. Thank you. Can you gentlemen take over for a second?
Yeah.
Be
Sure.
excused. Excuse me for just a moment.
Go right ahead, hon.
Thank you.
Okay. So what's going on, Ronan?
Man, I'm looking forward to the weather warming up. I've been done with winter for months now, and just this last week, maybe about a week and a half ago, the weather changed from being in the 40s to being in the 70s. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, we hit 85 today here in southwest Kansas.
Whew. Yeah, we got 80s coming up this week, it said, and the humidity. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I just dislike winter so much. I'll take the heat and the humidity. No problem.
Yeah, I can take the heat better than I can the cold. I can't find enough clothes and everything. Besides that, I'm used to heat, and cold just gets me body wise, joints, whatever, and I just don't like it. I can sure, like I say, take a lot more heat than I can the cold, and that's where I'm most comfortable and can move the best. What little bit I do move and everything. So, but I'm kind of glad it warmed up here too. But we're supposed to maybe get some rough storms later on in the week, tomorrow and Wednesday, and maybe into Thursday and stuff. It's that time of year here in this area for our peak severe season. So it is what it is and everything. And this is an every year deal at this time. So
Yeah.
got to go with it and everything and keep an eye on it and do the best thing you can for safety wise and all of that. So that's
Yep.
about all we can do at the moment. You're up in Wisconsin, ain't you?
I'm in Ohio.
Ohio.
I grew up in Wisconsin, yeah. I grew up on a
Okay.
dairy farm up there, but I live in Ohio now.
Okay. Yeah, about the same climate there as it was up there in Wisconsin. Maybe a little different farther north you get, but
Yeah, it's a little warmer down here than it was in Wisconsin. That was one of the attractions to moving further south. I mean, here the winter, it did get this winter got into the teens, but in Wisconsin, it gets into like the negative teens and like the frozen tundra.
Yeah, we go from one extreme to the other down here and everything. We could have the highest I've seen it here since I've lived here all my life has been about 115, and the coldest it gets been about minus 40 at times. Depends on the season.
Ay, ay, ay. I couldn't do that. I mean, you're basically at that point, you're just hibernating. Indoors, there's no going anywhere. Vehicles have a hard time starting and running at that temperature.
Yeah, once you get climatized to it, at some points down here with the weather, there was one year I think it was like 1980, I think. Yeah, 1980. Was working about 80 miles north of where I'm at right now, and it was wintertime around Christmas and stuff, and everything. Had a warm front come through, and it hit about 80 and stuff. We done a lot of work outside in the short period of time. By the time we got off work at 6 o'clock that night, it was 42, and it was still going down.
Man.
That's what it can do here in Kansas. So.
Sounds like your weather might have some bipolar issues.
Most definitely, and I take after it sometimes too, myself.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think I started seeing a couple fireflies already. It does have to get a little bit warmer, but out here in the spring in the summer when the fireflies are in full whatever,
Yeah,
full on, you don't even need a flashlight walking around.
yeah,
It's awesome. I lived in Colorado for a while too. I didn't see anything like that out there. They were in Wisconsin also, but I just love being out in nature as much as I kind of love being out in my garden. I got 5 chickens and they're pretty cool. I mean, they're funny to watch just because when they run around and they try to fly and they do that kind of stuff, they look like little dinosaurs running around. Like,
yeah.
and
I
you get
don't get out much or anything the way my health and stuff is. It's got me down pretty good and everything. Gonna give Bonnie an update if she's back.
I'm back.
Okay, last week I went to a specialist about 45 miles from me, and it's a hematologist slash oncology. He was going through my paperwork, and he did a bone marrow sample that day in the doctor's office. So he's thinking about something to start with, and we're going to try to go through some stuff and check some stuff off and everything, or confirm something and figure out the plan of attack and everything. And first thing he's thinking of is leukemia and stuff. We're not sure yet. I'll know here in about a week or so when he calls me and tells me when he gets the results.
I'll make sure to keep you in my prayers.
Yes, we will be
Thank you.
praying for that.
Because he asked me how long I've been dealing with this, my health going downhill, and it's been 7, 8 years, something like that, since I've really gone downhill. It's been gradual every year, and it's not getting any better, and that's why he did what he did right from the get-go there at the doctor's office. That was interesting. It hurt and stuff, but not as bad. He numbed the outside, but when he went into the pelvic bone with the needle, that was a little different.
Ouch. Yeah.
So, but anyway, I ought to know something. I'm glad somebody wants to do something instead of giving you lip service all the time like I'd been getting at times, or very minor tests, and 90% of them came back fine. So I'm glad somebody wants to do something because I'm tired of this way I'm living, believe me.
Yes, I can understand that. Um, Campermen, that's what we call them too, lightning bugs.
Yeah.
Um, so Watt has a question, and um, I've been looking into that also, Watt, and I think the solar powered pump is the best, and it's not real expensive.
What?
Hand pump, I don't know how that works. So,
That's what I use to pump water out of my ground well. I don't know exactly how deep mine is, and I'll try to
use
explain it as best as I can right now, but maybe if I get enough encouragement tomorrow, I'll put together a little recording of my setup. But I
good.
did it all on it's all under $100 is what I have set up. I bought a hand pump well, just like a silver stainless steel thing off of Amazon. I think it was $35. I'm not sure if it was like a special sale. Maybe it's $60 full price, somewhere in there. Okay. And it's just a stainless steel little hand pump. And I hooked up a garden hose to the bottom of that pump and ran that garden hose all the way down into the well. And
Okay.
when I first started pumping it, you have to prime it, and it takes a minute, but you got to prime it. You have to have water in there first. That way it starts that suction and pumping the air out of the hose first. It starts drawing water, and then it'll start pumping. And then you'll start getting water. So I did this and kind of had the same. Sounds like a very similar setup to Watt, but um, yeah, the solar power pump only pumps 15 feet. Like a lot of the hand
Oh,
pumps I tried and I saw said that same thing too, but it works for me. So I don't know what that difference is. My well, when I bought this place, the lady said it was 72 feet. I
mhm.
bought a 100-foot garden hose and I only have about a quarter or so of the hose sticking up out of the ground hooked up to the pump.
That's a good idea. And so, yeah, because you can even hook hoses together if you need to, if it's even deeper than that.
Yep, and I had that last year, and I didn't even have a hand like a water pump. I used a pump from a
God bless
you
you. Catherine.
those 55-gallon drums. They have they come with oil and stuff in them, and they have
Mhm.
pumps that go on top of those drums. I had one of those pumps hooked up to like three hoses because I had the pump all the way close to my garden.
Uh-huh.
And it worked okay, but it was a lot of effort, and it had to draw a lot of water from a really long way, and that was well over 150 feet. And it still
Wow.
drew water up through the hose, and I did get water, but it works a lot better now that I moved the pump closer to the well and have everything set up there. And I have a big drum I fill up with water from the pump, and then I have a hose going from that drum. I just use the gravity fed that to go down and water everything in the garden.
Yeah. So, with like this is probably a stupid question, but you know how the pump is on a keg?
Yeah.
Is it something like that, or is it?
No, those pumps are kind of designed like those taps are kind of designed to put pressure into the barrel so it pushes the beer out.
Oh, okay.
Um, the way these pumps work, like the one I have now that it's designed for water. If it was daylight out, I'd just walk out and show you guys, but um, it's designed for water, so you have to put a little bit of water in first so that it kind of creates a suction and it starts drawing the air and water out of the hose, and then the
Yes.
water it's actually pushes the water up through the hose. It's creates that negative pressure as you're pumping it. You're removing all that air out of the hose.
Something you might think about it. It's just emergency situation and stuff. Is it goes off the similar stuff that I sent to you, Bonnie, about your heater. Is get a 12-volt pump where you can hook it to the battery in the car and keep the battery charged by using your engine on your car. For temporary and everything. That might be a deal for set up for you too, in case you have something really go wacko and you need to get some water going, and 12-volt pump of some sort might work out for you.
Yeah. Hello, Jeannie, Blake and Trillium, and Dagmar. And hello, Hawk. How are you
Hey,
doing?
what's going
Hey,
on?
hey, Hawk.
I
So
were just,
I have these little, I think they're called 5 horsepower pumps um, that basically you can drop it into a 275 gallon tank and you can empty it. It'll take you about 15 minutes to empty that 275 gallons. You know, so it does like a gallon a minute, or maybe a little bit more. Um, but that's what I use out here for a small pump. My big pumps pump 600 gallons a minute.
wow.
It's like
Oh
a
yeah,
fire truck.
yeah. So my pumps are for sale right now. If you need a pump,
Yeah. Um,
not kidding,
Carl
not
or
kidding.
Echo.
You know, yeah, I think they're 10. I think they're 10 horsepower. You know, you hook an extension cord up to it, you lower it down into the water. You know, and you can. Um, it takes me 10 minutes to fill up a 275 gallon tank. So it's like the perfect speed for pressure and pressure for a shower, like a shower head, um, a washing machine. To fill and rinse a washing machine, stuff like that. You can get them down at your local Ace Hardware or whatever. They're super super cheap. They're like $15 or $16 each, and sometimes $20. Depending on if you want one that's got a bulb on it. But the thing is if you're dropping it down into the tank or into the well, um, the idea of it is this thing can be submerged, and stay submerged. You don't have to worry about it, especially seeing that you have hose to connect to it, and you can connect up to a uh, largest is the 2-inch hose, and then there's just the regular garden hose fitting as well. Um, but one thing to think about is maybe possibly during the summertime, get yourself an above ground 275-gallon water storage tank and fill that up, and put it next to your garden, and you can run a hose right off of that 275 gallon. So that way, there you're not dragging hose everywhere. You've got a way to fill up that tank, and at the end of the summertime or at the end of fall, when it's going to get cold, there's a lever on the side of it to empty the tank real fast, and that'll always give you that 275-gallon air temperature water for your plants. you know, because one thing that I've always noticed is if I go to the tap and I got really really cold water out of the tap, right, and I dump that right on the plants, well, the roots get shocked because they're already cool because they're out of the sunlight, but the rest of the plant gets affected by the fact that the roots are not going to pull in that water right away, because it is either as cool or cooler than the soil that the plant is in. So if you want to entice the plant to drink what you're putting into it, then take and get it. They're clear. They come in like a clear plastic. Is pretty much what it is. I mean, you can't see through it, but you can see through it. You can see where where the water level and stuff like that is. And the idea of it is to get that water that's above ground to be warmer than what coolness is going on in the soil. And then you'll notice that your plants will drink twice as much water and they'll grow twice as fast. That it works for cannabis, it works for any kind of plant, you know. It's the idea of adjusting that the coolness, getting rid of that.
Yeah. And I think with that big of a tank, it'd be a nice tank to set up a little bit of like what are those drip hoses? Those soaker hoses, those black hoses that just
Oh
kind of
yeah,
shoot
yep,
water.
yeah. Drain. What is it? Drain? Are they drainage? No, it's not drainage lines. It's
I
uh,
always call them soaker hoses. I don't know if that's the right term for them
yeah,
or not, but
because
you know what I'm talking about.
you're talking about the real thin black ones with
Yep.
and they have the leads that can go off to the sides. You can put little T's in them
Yep.
to send it to each plant and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a great irrigation that way. It really is. And then and then on top of it, your temperature of that water is going to be enticing to the plant because it's warmer than what the soil is. You know, and
Yep.
it's like, oh yeah, let's suck this right up. But if it gets down to a foot, you know, and you got piping hot, then remember to add water to that to cool that down, to a little bit better level, because you don't, when you get down to that foot, then the water is going to warm up real quick and stuff like that. And depending, and the other thing is when you're walking over plants and you're dragging a hose through there, you're going to be dripping stuff all over your leaves and everything else. So having those feeder lines like that is a great idea because then you're not giving that sun reflectiveness to the moisture where it can burn up your leaves and then stunt the growth of the plant.
Yep. That's exactly right. I like doing that for my tomatoes too, and that keeps them from cracking. Giving them, they always have that constant water because they'll bust if let's say if it doesn't rain for a couple weeks or a week or something, then it rains real hard. They'll take in all that water and then they'll burst open.
Yeah. Is
Hey,
that El Paso?
yes.
Okay. Yeah. Did you see that guy eyeballing them pizzas when that guy walked by there? He's like, let's go rob the pizza man.
Hey Chuck, I just saw
Hey,
you.
y'all. Hey.
What's going on,
How you
Chuck?
doing, Chuck? Hi, Wyatt.
Yeah, today was Nerd Day, and buddy showed up over here with gummies, and I didn't ask how strong they were. I ended up taking a half of one. And it's like they put 4 pieces in them for a reason. I'm like, I didn't know. And he goes, well, that was a strong one. I didn't know. And I ended up going off and sitting in the front room for 2 hours by myself.
I had somebody call me today for instructions on how to make pop brownies. So, and they're like halfway across the country. So, it's you got to be careful with it. If you're not using the right measurement of medicine per dosage and everything else, it's gonna mess you up.
Yeah, I could tell you what the color red tastes like then.
The
Wyatt
schnoz
ate a whole
berries
one, but
taste
he's
like
been
schnoz
smoking
berries.
and taking a lot of stuff trying to help with his vision. So Wyatt ended up with a whole one. He looked baked, and Vicky told me, she's like, "You look worse than he did." Said just sitting there all staring off. Like, yeah, I don't want that no more. That was a little excess. I like it, and plus it was sativa. Sativa always messes with my head. So
Yeah, it can give you anxiety.
yeah, it did.
So one of the problems is with sativas is that if you're growing it outside and you're putting it out, say Mother's Day weekend, that plant is not going to finish until sometime in November. Okay, and the thing is if you got rains coming in late October or early November, you're going to end up pulling that plant down early. You know, and the problem is that the trichomes have not fully developed properly, and so harvesting it too early creates a super level of anxiety to the trichomes that are on there. It heightens anxiety. If you got nice 50% milky, 50% amber, then the plant was finished good enough. to be able to harvest it and have the nice calming effect, but still motivated.
Yeah.
And then if you let it go all amber, then it becomes couch locky, you know. And the thing is most people, you want to have a life. You want to be able to do stuff. You know, I'm feeling great now, so I'd like to be able to do something other than sit there and look at a screen, or you know, I can't handle having a conversation with anybody. You know, kind of thing. And it's like, no, come on. You just want to be able to chill out, relax, or be able to function and actually complete the projects that you're working on. You know, that's the big one. You know, you go in and start the dishes, and then then the stone kicks in, and all of a sudden you go back in the kitchen, and your sink's still full of dishes. You know, and it's like, that didn't really help much. Yeah. I'm serious. I watch people walk away from cannabis after their first try because of the fact that they had a bad experience with it. And generally it boils down to either they're giving them the wrong kind, you know, for what that person's metabolism is capable of absorbing, or it's not finished properly, or it knocks them so far on their ass that they never ever want to do it again, because they when the high hits, it's like they just drank a whole bottle of wine, in one shot. And it takes a certain amount of time for it to finally adjust so that you're capable of being able to attempt to get a good experience out of it. But by then the anxiety is already kicked in. It's that's why I chuckle when people tell me, I smoked pot. I almost had a heart attack. No, you had an anxiety attack is what happened, because they didn't finish the prop properly. You know,
Yeah, what I had ended up being a 500 milligram was the whole thing, so I took a 250 milligram hunk.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh yeah.
I think I go at 10 milligrams when I get the gummies from the dispensary here.
Yeah.
I think I stick with 1 10 milligram gummy, and I'm productive, and I'm feeling good, and I don't have pain, and I can accomplish all the things I need to.
Oh, my pain was gone.
I bet it was.
I was feeling no pain.
But in the same breath of saying that, when it comes to killing cancer, I would pick no other medicine.
Oh, for sure.
You
Because there
know,
is no other medicine. What,
it-
radiation? No thanks.
well, no, because that Ivor stuff that we were told was horse stuff and all that, that also goes after cancer.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yep,
Oh,
they
yeah.
got a whole bunch of research on it.
Okay, so go to the NIH.gov website. Okay, pull up a separate tab. Okay, type in NIH.gov. Okay, and as soon as that page comes in, type in that Ivor word. You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yep.
And cancer, and you will see all the reports of 85 different types of cancer that kills within a 30 to a 90-day period.
Those low down, good for nothing lying sacks. You know what?
And they
Hide
research,
this from us this whole time.
and it's on their own sites. Yeah, I got the page somewhere with a whole bunch of it. I passed it out to Bonnie and them a few months, 6-8 months ago or more.
Yep.
It's wild.
Yep. And I did it. I did an entire regimen of it over a 4-month period, and totally herxed. So herxed is HERXED. I sweated things out of my body that I didn't even know was in my body. It gets rid of all parasitics in your body completely.
And anything that causes disease in us, or germs, or whatever you call it, any kind of sickness is all parasite based, and
Yep.
cancer included.
Yeah, and why should I go to a guy and let him pump me full of poison with the hope that after the poison finally does kill off the cancer, that maybe, just maybe, they might be able to save my life.
Well, and that's what I guess I never understood about using that stuff like that because, um, from what I understood, like I'm obviously I have no knowledge. I'm not a doctor by any means, but from what I understood, cancer was a mutated cell. You know how the cells you grow, cells split and multiply that way, where something happens where this thing doesn't stop growing, right?
Yep.
And maybe it's a parasitical infection of something. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know, but it just
Well,
goes to show that what they hide from us. Obviously, shoot, that's
you
too
know,
far.
so there are a couple of downfalls to the side of cannabis. Okay, one, people can easily be scared off. Two is a disease called cannabinoid hypermesis. Okay, now on the edge of every single leaf, including the little itty bitty leaves that are on your buds, the little itty bitty sugar leaves is what we call them, or sweet leaves. Okay, including those, but all the big leaves have them. If you look at the end of at every serrate on there, on the tip of each serrate, you're going to find a little hollow hook. Okay, and what happens is, and this is why that phone call to me today was so important for me to have that conversation with the individual. Okay,
There's a link in both spots, private and chat.
Thank you.
oh, there you go. Yeah. Um, so what ends up happening is when people are making brownies and stuff like that, they don't think about um, or even butter. You know, they don't think about straining out the vegetable matter of the plant. Okay, that's why I use olive oil, and I run it through a couple of cheesecloths in order to get all the oil out, and then everything that's left in that crock pot that goes in the garbage. We don't mess around with that vegetable matter at all. It all gets thrown away. Okay, but what happens is people think that they're just taking buds and crumbling them up and mixing them in with their food and stuff like that. No, that's not how it works, because those little hooks can get into your intestinal lining. Okay. And then what happens is it begins to form a pocket. So every
Oh,
time you eat, a little bit of food gets wedged into your intestinal wall. And then all of a sudden you got these big ass nodes in your intestines, which are not allowing food to, every for you to digest properly, and you start going through severe stomach cramps and everything else. All of a sudden you go from, I knew a guy who was well over 400 pounds. Okay, he was a Portland pro wrestler. He belonged to the Portland Wrestling Company. um, within about I would say 6 months after being exposed to this, okay, he was down to 180 pounds. Okay, and the thing was he didn't even have time to like work off the excess skin and everything else. It literally his stomach hung down to his kneecaps as the weight was dropping off. That's how far the skin from his stomach, had expanded out. His name was Big Daddy Sweets was his name on Portland Wrestling. There, he used to wrestle with the Billy Jack guy, Billy Jack Haynes, who was with the WWE for a while. We knew him as Tank, because the guy was as big as a freaking tank, you know. But in the wrestling rank, he was, he was Big Daddy Sweets. This ended up killing him. It did end up killing him. But he was diagnosed with cannabinoid hypermesis about 3 weeks before he died. It had gone so bad and so far that they cut out like uh, 13 or 14 feet of his large intestine, and then they cut out equal to more out of his small intestine, where these hooks got in there, you know. So it is something real. So people can die from cannabis, but it's generally not attributed to smoking it or or just regular pot brownies. The thing was that the person who made the brownies for him at that time uh, did not. They cooked. They just crumbled up the buds in their hands, put them into the butter, heated up the butter, and then poured it into the brownie mix. You know, so it was basically they got the hooks and everything. Hooks, stems, everything, all the way down the line. Everything was in it. You know, um, he said I was high as hell, but look what it's done to me. You know, and the thing is they gave him the whole pan. They gave him the whole pan of brownies in over like a 2 week period. He ate the whole pan. So all these little hooks were everywhere. There were 900 sites in that intestine that they took out of him that were all pockets of food. Basically every time he ate, a little bit of food went into each and every pocket. you know. And at first when he went into the doctor kept telling him, "Oh, you just have irritable bowel syndrome. Do some Pepto Bismol, you'll be fine." Kept sending him home that way, and then finally he went to the emergency room, and then 3 weeks later he was dead.
Wow.
So preparing food and stuff like that as medicine, you got to really be careful about that. Even when you're cooking with ingredients, of stuff that you're growing outside of the cannabis field. I'm talking about other things. You know, always be cautious. Make sure your product is clean. You know, make sure that you haven't used any pesticides or anything, because you're going to use that plant as medicine, and that. So don't put yourself in a position where you're going to be, whether it's dandelions, because I know people who eat dandelions for particular illnesses, and many other natural plants. Um, you know, Make sure that what you're going to consume is clean. That's the biggest thing. You know, I'll shut up.
So when you use a crock pot, do you use the liner so that it's not like ruining your crock pot?
No, my crock pots are all ceramics.
Yeah, it doesn't ruin the crock pot. Well, I guess I have the ceramic. Must be similar to what Hawk's talking about, but it's just butter or oil or something in there with some plant matter. It doesn't ruin it. Washes right out.
And
Okay.
on top of that, I'm cooking it on low. I'm not going anything about. Any crock pot I've ever owned has always had the three settings. The low, the medium, and the high. And when
Mm-hmm.
I make my oil for either cooking or for my salve, that is done on the lowest setting, and it cooks for 24 hours. I add water to make sure it doesn't burn. Um, and when I strain it out 24 hours later, every bit of that oil is medicated, and all it takes is the tip of a teaspoon into a frying pan, and then you take and cut a tablespoon uh, pat off of a stick of butter, drop that in the pan, and then drop an egg in there. Okay, and you have a fully medicated egg, and that takes care of you for 12 to 18 hours. One egg.
Oh, that's interesting. I might try that.
Go with no pain for 18 hours. Yeah, you'd be an idiot not to do it. And guess what? You're not putting any poisons in your body. You're not putting any pharmaceuticals in your body. You're using a natural plant that the Father put on this planet in order for you to take care of yourself. You know.
Yeah. When Becky brings up a good point here, you do have to be careful because that stuff is real and people are deceitful.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So if like in Colorado, you can grow your own. I think they said you grow up to 6 plants. If you're in a situation where you can't do that and there's no dispensaries around you, I would say I noticed a lot of the smoke shops around here, like just tobacco stores, they all sell CBD products.
Yep.
And those are okay too if that's the best you can get. It's better than nothing. And you're getting it from a reputable store, a place that's got a label and a brand, it's not just Joe Schmo off the street. Who knows where it came from?
Right. Yep. and the thing is it's like here in Portland or here in Oregon. I'm hearing that up in Portland, people are getting a lot of pot that's laced with fentanyl on the street. You
Crazy.
know,
Yeah.
yep,
That's so
yep.
sad.
And what that makes me think back to is the 1960s and 1970s PCP.
Yes,
You know,
PCP.
and what most people don't know is that PCP is actually formaldehyde. They were taking joints and dipping them in formaldehyde. The same thing that they embalm your body with. You know, and it was driving people insane. Some people never ever recovered from that stuff. You know, um, but it was like you never knew if the joint that you were going to buy was going to be laced with that or not. you know, and it's like to grow it yourself is the best way to do it. That way, then you always know what's in it and what's on it.
Yeah, and I think part of the healing is in growing, and it doesn't have to be a pot plant, but if you're growing a tomato plant or something, it
Yep,
builds your faith. You put that little seed in the ground, you care for it, you water it, you see it sprout, you get excited, you see it
yep.
grow, and
You
eventually
become
you get to eat its fruit.
capable. You
Yep,
become capable.
right. You're caring for something other than yourself, and I believe there's also a healing aspect to that as well. And being able to grow your own medicine, that's it's a huge blessing if you're able
Yeah,
to do that.
I see a lot of old people. I deal with a lot of old people, and they go and they get all these new fancy strains and stuff in the dispensaries, and it turns them off from the dispensaries because that's what's being pushed across the counter, you know. But the high that comes with it is not what these people remember from the 60s and the 70s. Okay, this is totally different, and it's yeah, you want to talk about dumbing down America. There's a good way to do it right there. Um, you know, putting people in a position where number one, they don't trust plants anymore. Okay, and then they don't trust the markets where it's available. You know, and at that point, then illness gets to take over, and it's just wrong. You know.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna send you an email about that, Hawk.
And I think too, it's important. Like, I'll speak for myself here. I won't speak for anybody else, but I have a medical card and everything for it, but I still take breaks from it. I need to see where I'm at.
Mhm.
I need to, just see where I'm at. Um, in a sense, it's like a fast or a cleanse, just like from anything. Reality is anything we do in habit over years and years and years, this is not good. We're not meant to be like that.
No,
So,
it's not supposed to be. We're not supposed to be in an addictive nature.
right, right.
You know. You
So
know.
for me, what I do is I'll take a break. I'll just see where I'm at, and if I'm feeling good, especially I think it's a seasonal thing for me too. So there's times of the year I'm good for months on end until I'm not good anymore. you know. But
So have y'all noticed how peaceful they all look there?
Yeah.
yeah, look, like what are they waiting for? It looks like they're just kind of waiting around.
No, they're just
They
hanging
are,
out until it's time to go to sleep.
or until it's time to cross over.
So are they in Mexico now, or is that on the U.S. side?
This
That's
is
their
the
that
this is
that if I'm not mistaken, that's San Antonio. No, or El Paso.
El Paso.
That's where
Yes,
Father Ram Road is there.
Annie, okay. Let's
See the
go
street sign
glow.
there?
Yeah, here soon it's going to be Cinco de Mayo all day long, every day there.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know what? That's what was weird here. My neighborhood is usually very loud during Cinco de Mayo, and there was not a sound. It was totally quiet, and I was like, what is going on here? Just letting people know also what's coming.
That's just a minor side effect of the medication. It's much better than like some of the pharmaceutical side effects.
Very true, Richard. Yeah, that's interesting stuff. And somebody asked about a cache earlier. Um, haven't heard about any of those. I think they're already here, waiting for them.
Yep.
Is my opinion, but I could be wrong.
Well, think about them. Think about them. Shipping containers.
Hmm.
You know, and why exactly would Biden need 60 million bullets for?
Yeah,
Or Obama? Is that what it was? Was it 60 million or 160 million?
it's something crazy.
Yeah, it was. They bought that much ammunition. Yeah. What do you need that much ammunition for?
Yeah,
My answer is because fuck you. That's why.
Because I can. I have a hard time believing that this group of people would pick up arms against us. The biggest reason I believe that is because then the army, the National Guard, the police, all these organizations would have to get involved at some level. If we were straight up under attack, catching fire like that, they can't just sit back and do anything. They have to go in and clean that up. So I believe on one hand, they would all just be putting a big old bullseye on themselves if they were to do something like that. Again,
but
this is just my theory. I don't know if that's true or not. Like I said earlier, I think they're just going to secure the Democratic votes in the big cities. That's
then
all.
what would that cleanup be? Would it be okay? You Americans come get on this bus, and we'll take you to safety? No.
Well, there was that one group of people. They were taken in New York, and they got off the bus, and they're like, "Wait, we're supposed to be in Boston." They said they were taking us to Boston.
Yeah.
That's what the Mexicans were saying. They said, "See here on the paper, it said we were going to Boston," and they dropped them off in freaking New York.
So what's the difference? What? I mean,
Well, okay, so I know that one of the guys that was on the bus, uh, they were doing a humanitarian story on there. His daughter has uh, on stage specific type of leukemia.
oh,
Okay,
okay.
and he was never able to get his daughter into this country to take her up there to the children's hospital up there. Okay,
Yes.
they have to, um, and this is the thing is Chris, it's you just came from a country where cannabis grows everywhere. Go back there,
Yes.
start making your child oil, and you could do that, but it was she he had made an appointment with a doctor there at the hospital in Boston, and they had expected to get into Boston around 11 p.m. at night, but at 6 o'clock they pulled into New York, and they dumped them all off of the bus and left them there, drove off. There was no explanation of them why they were being dropped off in New York.
Wow.
you know and it's like, what the heck, you know but it was an entire busload, you know and but this one particular guy with his daughter, and his daughter was there on camera with him when they were talking to him. She had an appointment. They were going to meet with the doctor as soon as they got into Boston. The doctor didn't care what time it was. He was willing to meet with them and see her right away. And then all of a sudden, um, you know, what the heck? You know, they got as far as New York. As far as I know, they're still in New York. You know,
Isn't Boston pretty close to New York? Or
no, it's about
no?
400 and something miles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they dropped him off in the city. Because they went across the George Washington Bridge, and after I think it was they got a few exits in, and then pulled off and drove down to the end of a street that basically had a roundabout area for the bus, and that's where they dropped everybody off. Even the people who were who live in those houses were standing out on the street. What are you dropping them off right here for? There's a place downtown for them to go to, where they can get help. No, they dropped them right off in a middle or at the end of a residential neighborhood, and expected to be able to do that and not have anybody ask any questions. But they had the bus blocked. And then the news people showed up, and then the police showed up, and everything else. But as far as I know, they're all still in New York. They never, he never got his daughter to Boston. That's a child's life. On a medical purpose like that, I can see. I can see where a father, he's got a wife and kids back in Mexico. That he wants to get him and his daughter, get his daughter fixed and then go back to Mexico. He's not talking about wanting to stay in America forever. He wants to get back to the rest of his family. And it's like, wow, but I can see somebody wanting to get across the border, come get that medical care, and then go back, to whatever country they come from, whether it's Mexico, Canada, any other country worldwide. I can see them coming here because we're supposed to have the best medical in the world. But with what I've seen for the last 3 years, no, we don't. No, we don't.
I'll be back in a minute, guys.
All right.
You know who the biggest proponent to stopping medical marijuana from being passed in every single state boils down to the pharmaceutical companies and the Rockefeller medical dollars.
Yeah, and big tobacco too.
Yep. And the crazy thing is the tobacco companies came out here to Oregon and bought land, and I'm not talking a little bit of land. I'm talking about a lot of land. And they wanted to get into the cannabis business out here. They had already bought the land and everything, and then legalization came in, and they went to file for their licenses. They were denied.
Wow.
All of their equipment and everything was all laced with tobacco. So anything that they grew was gonna taste like tobacco, be like tobacco, basically be tobacco. All their water filtering systems and everything else are lined with nicotine and everything else. And watching what they put into tobacco these days, you'd have to say to yourself, I wonder what they're willing to put in my pot if they're willing to do carcinogens to my tobacco.
Yeah.
Back in the 50s, late 40s and the 50s, you didn't have any of the carcinogens that they have in tobacco today. You didn't have people addicted to tobacco because of the chemicals that are in the tobacco. So it would be a total alleviation of addiction, getting back to natural raw tobacco again without all that other junk on there. I say that as I'm firing up a cigarette and a bowl.
evil tobacco, but I love to smoke you.
Well, that's the additives, right? Like you could buy the all natural tobacco. I think it's a little more expensive, and
It's a lot more expensive.
yeah, I
It's
guess
yeah,
it's a lot more expensive.
it's a lot more expensive. But the thing is it's like I went from smoking. I so I had a bag of CBD buds, and I'm not going to say how big the bag was, but I got enough for about 5 years, 6 years. Um, we'll just say that. And what I've been doing is I have my cigarette tobacco, and then I crush up some buds into a crumble, and I mix that with the tobacco, and I roll my own cigarette now. Okay. Now, before I started doing that, I was up to 3 packs a day, and that would be like Pall Mall non-filters is basically what I smoke. Um, I was smoking 3 packs a day, but now that I'm doing a 50-50 with tobacco and the CBD, uh, mixed with it, I'm down to maybe 12 to 15 cigarettes a day.
That's much better for you.
You know, so and it's like I go through sometimes where I'll go through a whole day without smoking at all. You know, it'll be just before I go to bed that I'll think, you know what, I'll have one before I go to bed. You know. And on top of that, I've been taking Exhale. It's put out by a company called Phoenix. What is it? Phoenix something. Um, Phoenix Edge. And it's called Exhale. And if you're a smoker and you have that morning wake up cough, after about 5 days of taking one capsule a day, you'll notice that cough going away. By day 15, you won't wake up coughing at all. And you'll notice that your breathing is better and everything else. But that doesn't mean increase your smoking. Okay. It means decrease your smoking.
Yeah.
But that Exhale has helped a lot. Now when I cough, it's because I just took too big of a hit off the bowl.
That takes a lot. But Ron said he quit smoking cold turkey last May. Praise God. That's for sure. That's not an easy task. I'm proud.
No.
Yeah, that's a good thing though.
I can't quit. Not yet. I'm out here by myself in the middle of nowhere.
You're too dedicated. You're not a quitter.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I was a Marine, damn it. I got 9 full size German Shepherds in this building with me, and they all have personalities of their own, no different than I have mine. But theirs get on my nerves. No, it's.
I'm gonna read something to y'all.
Okay, go ahead.
This is about Brownsville. And there's supposed to be footage, but I don't see footage. So last November, Texas Governor Greg Abbott declared an invasion on the Texas border with Mexico, invoking the U.S. and Texas constitutions. So why hasn't this been followed? Millions of illegal aliens have crossed the U.S. southern border with Mexico since Joe assumed the presidency on January 20th and throughout T's successful policies that had secured the border. On Sunday evening, hundreds of illegal immigrants were seen in a long line in Brownsville, Texas, after crossing the border from Mexico days before the end of Title 42. According to Fox correspondent Bill Mulligan, most of those who had recently arrived appeared to be single adults. Many others in line appeared to be carrying nothing more than a small plastic bag containing essential documents. And that's what's happening is the NGOs down there are handing them their packets, and sending them on when they have everything in those packets that they could need.
They're not waiting. It's what it is to come across. Thursday there's
Yes,
steadily coming in is what they're doing all right now.
yeah. I did scroll down, Paul. I didn't see it. Let me see.
Plus, that shit going on Wednesday about the Bidens or whatever, the stuff to do with Hunter. There's no telling what they're in between now and then. And the sucker's loading up at the gate.
Yep.
Do you think Potato would just pardon his kid right away?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think so too.
But you know what happens if Biden is removed?
Well, I
That
think
pardon-
Biden and Camel Toe would have to go.
Yep.
And then what's his name would be Prez. Oh, what's his name? Yeah, McCarthy or whatever. Then that would be an ideal time to bring charges when he wouldn't be in a situation to pardon him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that works. If you get a pardon, would it be considered double jeopardy if those charges were brought up against you again a second time? I think it would be.
See, and that's the charges are not.
Yeah, they're gonna charge him with like they're gonna make a plea deal kind of thing is what's gonna end up happening. Okay, they're not gonna let it go to trial.
I think they're going to stir something else up to distract everybody away from that.
Yeah, because if it goes to trial, then what can be done in a trial? Evidence can be submitted. Okay, and then all of a sudden, as evidence is being submitted, new charges are being applied, and not only to the plaintiff or the defendant at that time, okay, but to those associated with him could end up getting pulled into it. So they're going to want to make a plea deal right off the bat. Okay.
How long ago did he commit the accusation?
Well, that's what I'm fixing to, because the charges are not the ones that we would hope for. So that would leave those charges still open to
Exactly.
charge him on.
Statute of limitations. Statute of limitations could figure into this where they couldn't charge him
There's
anyway.
no statute of limitations for treason.
No.
That's true.
There's no statute of limitations for treason.
And murder.
Yep.
And kidnapping. That's the three that I know of at the moment.
And trafficking.
Okay.
We have three states. We have 3 states in the country now that have passed trafficking laws, and that it's a death penalty. Did anybody hear that?
Yeah.
I heard that today. We have 3 states.
Having just one sets a precedent. More than one makes it even better, doesn't it?
Yep. Because other states will get, oh, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, we catch traffickers, boom, this is what happens. And that's what should happen anyway. But I think that it should be done the way that the Bible says. Okay? I think that they should be driven out to the ocean, put on a boat, have a millstone tied about their neck by chain, so that way they can't untie it. Okay? And dropped off that boat. Because that's what the Lord said to do with them. Tie a millstone about their neck to the depths of the sea is better for them than anything that would happen to them if the Lord was here on earth.
Yeah, if we took care of the problem, it ain't to the Lord's satisfaction.
Yeah, you let people see people getting pushed off a boat with big stones wrapped around their neck. Do you think that they're going to want to get involved in the trafficking industry? Nope.
Well,
then once you grab one person that might be involved, they'll all spit out to cover their own ass. Keep away from that.
Yep.
Do you have that video, Bonnie?
Which video?
Oh, I thought you were gonna play video. I'm sorry.
She said she couldn't find a video on that.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah, the drone coverage of Brownsville, I
oh,
think is what he was talking about.
drone drone coverage of
Brownsville.
Brownsville. Okay.
And so this is what the White House prepares for possible charges against Hunter. Um, Political fallout from a looming decision by federal prosecutors over whether to charge Joe's son with tax crimes and lying about his drug use when he bought a handgun. So that's a pretty minor charge anyway, right? So it's
What
Stupid
was this?
federal small shit.
yes. And then the other one also with the woman that's trying to file for child support. That's a that's a minor charge also. It's
Well, it
always
is. However, with that one specifically, they're going to be looking into all of his financial records because that's how you would normally calculate child support and stuff like that, right? You look at the income. So if he has income that he's hiding or lying about, that will come up in discovery in court. And I think that's what she's is saying, right? She's saying he has all these business dealings and is making all this money, and he's not paying. That's not taking in consideration when he's to pay child support, right? So then this is just my opinion. In this case, it would show his business dealings. It would show that income he had. Child support would be reevaluated. And he'd probably have to pay a penalty and pay more in child support now. So then what would happen in my mind's eye again is now that we have one court already said that yes, he is involved with this and is benefiting from it financially, he's receiving that money. I believe that could be used in a court as evidence to show unlawful, business dealings and
right. If they can
funds.
track every penny of it, that would be amazing because it'll show a whole lot more. But um, I would think also if he pardons for the minor charge, he can't pardon him again, can he? Wouldn't it be a one-time pardon?
I don't know
Depends
if
on
they
the
do that.
charges. I think they can be pardoned for each individual charge, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
because
it's part. It would basically cover all the crimes that he's convicted of. It can be pardoned with one pardon.
Right. But we've seen what's happened with other things. Did Pelosi get anything done to him when he was all the things that have been let go? It's really hard to trust anything up there right now at all, period,
Yep.
from anybody.
Okay. Here's that footage that you wanted, and I believe that I think there's probably audio as well.
Okay.
Here comes the lines.
Yeah, they're all young men.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two women I see throughout there, but look at that.
Yep.
Today, you do not make it.
that's
Oh,
also where that SUV run into a bunch of people at the bus
oh
stop.
wait a minute, guys. You got to listen to this kid, and then I'll go back to that story. But let's listen to this guy. Hang on. This is gonna be cute.
Okay.
Today, you do not make it no choice. So, you hit my fuse, but it's not going outside, so that's why I didn't want to make this a smart choice. Earlier, I couldn't go outside, so was still so sad. But after I was a little sad, I was a little bit upset. More than a little.
More than a little upset? Don't get upset sometimes. We don't get what we want all the time.
Mama also don't. Papa also don't. But it's hard for babies to do that. For babies to don't understand you that. But earlier I told you I didn't like magic. But after a while, I was okay.
You were okay? Life is like that. We get upset, we get mad, we cry.
That's emotions, Mama.
That was just cute. I could not let that play. So let's see.
He was pretty well versed for his age, I think.
So the massive line of migrants were captured by Fox News drone as they made their way from Mexico to Texas. So that's how long the line is down there. Massive. He noted that Mexico last week agreed to continue taking back Venezuelans who entered the U.S. illegally after the restrictions end, along with Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans. And he's going to. Mayorkas is going to. He's going to open migrant processing facilities in Central and South America, so that they can bust them right across the border without having to go through anything.
Yep. Brought to you by the 3 organizations that are down there in Panama.
Well, they're saying the new facilities could process up to 6,000 migrants a month at first, and eventually handle larger numbers of crowds applying for asylum from violence, persecution, and failed government. What the hell you want to come here for? Look at our government. What's wrong with you? Yeah, but yeah. So I did a search for that for what you said there in regards to the drone thing, and I thought, the way that article came up there as the first one, I figured that was actually going to be the actual video. And let me check another one or two and see if we can actually see a video of it, because this, that, come on. Oh, here we go. Okay.
Maybe ingenious rabbits, but
yeah,
not. It's unacceptable.
That's all by drone. That's not by that. Yeah. Oh, you guys don't see it.
And sprinkles.
No, we don't see it.
You don't see it, dang nabbit. Hang on, I gotta.
Yeah, we're seeing text.
Sorry. Yeah, because I actually found the video and.
It just flowed so well, like writing.
Yeah. Here we go. Oh, okay, hang on, let me back it up again.
Good grief.
Why don't we just go take over their country? Then they're coming over here. I like the warm weather in
That's
Mexico
what I was
better.
thinking.
Because we'd get arrested and locked away forever if we did that.
Yes. But those other countries must be empty if that many are coming.
Yeah, I
Yep,
mean,
see the bags, and they're plastic, and they're sealable plastic bags. So if they
Yep,
had to come through water, they'd be able to come through water.
yep,
You know,
For anybody who wants to live off grid, they're coming from there. Just
so
had to say it. Sorry.
I'll see what
no,
else I can find in it. It's because I know that there's definitely more than that video out there. Um,
yeah. And we've seen this happen to other countries, and we've seen the results, and it's not good.
no,
And not to scare anybody or anything, but we need to face it and figure out where we go from here. Obviously, we can't stop it. It's not stopping.
well, it you know the question you have to ask yourself, you say, where do we go from here? Well, the first question I would have to ask you is, um, have you thought about uh, what what God said? Number one, vengeance is mine. It's not ours. It's His. Okay. And then the second question is, what would Jesus do?
Yes. And we know what he would do.
You
So
know,
I guess that's it. It's the same as in your community, vetting people. You're going to see them in your communities, no matter where you are in the United States.
mm-hmm.
And so it's just like anyone else. Is trust in your gut. Is this a good person? Is this a bad person? I think the
Yeah,
bad ones are going to show themselves pretty quick. We've seen that already. We've
yeah,
seen the crimes that they've committed for the past 3 years. And so, um, and it's just being on guard. You know, quit making so many trips to the store, or it can be small changes like that where it's not that you're not living, you're just minimizing being in those positions where things could happen.
yep,
yeah, Jesus organized a 12-man team and fought tyranny by speaking truth to it.
yep.
Yeah.
Think about what we're doing every day. We're speaking truth to it
Yeah.
every day. You know,
Well, we're
uh,
speaking truth to it every day, absolutely living truth, not just speaking, but living it, right? And we're doing stuff too, like growing our gardens big, growing our getting more chickens, and just living more self-sustaining, more fulfilling lives.
well, we kind of don't have a choice because our government wants to feed everybody from outside the country instead of feeding those that are inside the country.
Yep.
Yeah,
Giving us
That's
Rabbit.
what
Yeah, Rabbit. That was me. Why I kept saying sprinkles. Did you see what I put up there? FDA approves first pill containing human feces. Patients needing a fecal microbiota transplant. That's basically C. diff.
let them eat poop.
Yep, that's why I kept saying sprinkles. Is there an ice cream? I said, with sprinkles. It's poopy.
Chocolate sprinkles.
Yeah, I'll give me sprinkles. I want double sprinkles on my ice cream.
And then Brew, you ask, how how the walls of Jericho fell because it wasn't God approved. You know what I'm saying? Just like the wall in Germany there to separate the Berlin or whatever it was, whichever city it was that the wall went through. Um, that wall wasn't approved. You know, and it came down. Now this is the thing: is Trump's putting up a wall, right? And ain't nothing happened to that. And there was no war being fought over that wall being built. And it could have been finished, but
Yes.
somebody started a war with who? The American people. Who did it? Our government did it. That's who did it. And big tech, big medical, big pharmaceutical, and all of the money people. Yep,
I agree with that.
I agree with that too. You take them and throw them into a cell, and the only thing that they can eat is bugs.
And so I saw,
And the bug has to freely choose to go in there.
with sprinkles.
Okay, so we'll put them outside the cell, and if the bug decide to sacrifice itself and come in and feed you, that's the only way that you'll get the bug.
trust God.
Did you get one of them gummies I had earlier?
I
Well, maybe.
saw a video or photos or something, Chicago, where the the they had a homeless shelter and a hotel close to each other. The hotel, nice hotel, mind you, is where the immigrants are, and the homeless shelter, the homeless. And the food at the hotel was brought in. So there were bags and bags of, I guess it was sandwiches or something, and they were just throwing them in the trash. They were like, we don't like this food. So then they were setting up hot plates to cook their own food in their hotel rooms, which is against fire code, we all know. And so um, they're all, well, we have a problem now. And oh my, really? And so it's all this food that they're throwing away. And then I'm thinking, okay, the homeless people are probably going to go dig in that trash. Sadly, it's totally messed up. The homeless people, American citizens, and poo on them, but let's give these the luxury because it's more government funding. And that's what all these mayors and governors are doing is more funding, more funding, more funding to feed these people, house these people, however they need to do it.
That's to break the bank.
Yes.
Yep. Well, and it's not like they're all going to be getting jobs, and
And then they got them all over here with our replacements.
yeah, but I mean, like replacements, I get that too, but jobs seem to be dwindling more and more. Automation and stuff is replacing people, and I guess it's just I don't know. I obviously I'm just not sure on how to take it all. I guess so maybe that's part of the frustration. But we always need people. We need that's our most precious resource is each other, right? Is us, you know, and we need to
Really,
hold on to that.
it is. It's such a shame.
A lot of them have mental issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the jobs covered. Yeah, that's what I'm like. Okay, wait. What happened to the AI? I haven't seen anything about it lately. Where for a month there, that's all you heard. They just keep changing the script, like not changing it. They keep throwing more out there so you'll forget what has been in the past that they were showing us. From our government, I would say. Like that Chicago uh, mayor, Rodriguez, I think he's the mayor. Excuse me. And he was saying that it costs 7,000 a month per immigrant. Well, that's crazy. Do you know what we could be doing with 7,000 a month? I don't think it costs that much, but if they're staying in a hotel room that's $200 or $300 a night,
Yeah, look at that. They could buy a trailer park and then put new trailers in there and flock them in it.
yeah,
Kind of like they did with FEMA, remember?
yeah,
During Katrina.
I could use a couple of those guys right now to help me remodel my house. I'd have it done by now.
Don't say
or I
that.
can
I
really.
get a knock on your door in the morning. Here, you need help. The government. The
That's
government
cool.
sent us.
Right?
So
Email.
they're walking across the river down here, and Border Patrol's walking them right up in between the fences and into the inside.
Wait till they all find out once you're a citizen. If you become a resident of Canada, that's $8,000 a person per year that move up there.
Canada's where the real money's at. If I were these guys, I'd just keep marching right up to that big old maple leaf.
They'd
Yeah,
probably take all of them too. And when we go up there, nope. Vicky wanted to thought of it one time because her mom's family's from up there, and she
Yeah,
just backed over where she can get in. And
yeah. Just imagine even 3,500 a month per vet. How well they would be able to live. Our veterans.
so these are people who were attempting to smuggle people in. She had five illegal immigrants from Honduras,
She looks like a child.
and that's her husband.
He looks like a meth head.
he looks like he's from Children of the Corn.
There's the five illegals, and they got their text that says, what's it say? In San Antonio, I am currently picking up illegal Mexicans and taking them back to San Antonio area. I am getting paid $1,500 per person. Want to come help?
1,500 per person.
Yep. So they're getting paid to bring them in, and to take them around. So, yeah, it's kind of not cool. Yeah.
Who's paying them? The illegals, or where are they getting that $1,500?
Well, probably
here
probably
in an effort
the
to block
cartels.
any mass migrant crossings into his
Yeah, I
state.
would
He's
say
doing this as
cartel.
we are now just 3 days away from the end of Title 42, and already we are seeing record high illegal crossings.
President Biden's open border policies is going to cause a catastrophic disaster.
Today, Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced the formation of a new elite border response force made up of hundreds of Texas National Guard soldiers who he says will deploy to hotspots and repel mass illegal crossings.
They will be deployed with the equipment and tools that will be needed for them to be effective. That includes boats on the water, night vision, as well as riot gear.
Illegal crossings at the southern border are skyrocketing ahead of Title 42's expiration on Thursday. And new video from the Fox drone team shows one of the biggest groups of migrants we have ever seen after they crossed illegally into Brownsville, Texas. Most of them adult men in a line almost as far as the eye can see. Border Patrol reports that over the weekend, in a 72-hour span, they made more than 26,000 migrant apprehensions, a staggering average of almost 8,800 per day. And now some Democrats are joining Republicans in sounding the alarm. Kansas Democrat Congresswoman Sharice Davids penned this letter to DHS Secretary Mayorkas today, writing in part, quote, "We now face a doubling of illegal crossings at our southern border by some estimates, exacerbating the current humanitarian and refugee crisis. Meanwhile, 8 migrants are dead and a dozen others are injured in Brownsville after police say the driver of an SUV ran a red light, lost control, and crashed into them in front of a migrant shelter. Police say the driver, George Alvarez, is a local with an extensive rap sheet. He's now charged with 8 counts of manslaughter with bail set at $3.6 million.
Bail. Look,
And Brett, Border Patrol reports that last week alone, they detected almost 19,000 known gotaways at our border. Just to put those numbers in perspective for your viewers, that's equivalent to roughly a full capacity NBA arena sneaking across our border and getting into the United States without capture in a single week. We'll send it back to you.
Hard to fathom. Bill Malugin along the border. Bill, thank you.
that was murder. There should be no bail. That should be, and was he here illegally? Deport him, or if he's here legally, he gets the same sentence anyone else would for those crimes.
Yep. So that's basically looking at that picture there. If you make that full screen, that's a 19,000 seat capacity arena.
Yeah.
Okay. So that just takes that number that they just threw at you. Okay. Now, if that holds, and this actually is 18,600 plus, which means that they have the boxes up above that can hold like 20 people. You know.
Mhm.
All right. So in looking at that aspect, you know, it is 5 times that number have gotten into this country in the last 9 days. Because first they said that there was 27,000 that they brought in themselves, and then there was a at least 19,000 more, and they say that that's what in the last 5 days, 6 days, okay, and then you know you times that times 2 as the group that came in just before them, then you're looking at 100,000 people, easy,
Yeah.
easy
And
100,000 people.
that's just in Brownsville.
Yep.
Then you've got that in El Paso that's coming in, and no telling what in Arizona and California.
Yep.
Well, California finished their wall, so I don't even know if they're allowing people in California. But the Texas border seems to be the one for some reason that they really want to put across.
And this doesn't help either. This is a lady from the Catholic Church, okay, from Catholic Charities, okay, that's
Yep.
trying to facilitate more housing for all these people. No, they don't need to house these people. You need to send them back home.
Yep.
You know, do your work and come back. You know, like
And what is a neo-Nazi?
um,
The one in Allen, they're calling him a neo-Nazi white supremacist,
hold on. Let me
even though he's Hispanic.
let's go. Let's look it up. Neo Nazi. See what it comes up as in the okay. Neo-Nazism comprises the post-World War II militant, social, and political movements that seek to revive and reinstate Nazi ideology. Neo-Nazis employ their ideology to promote hatred and racial supremacy, attack racial and ethnic minorities, and in some cases to create a fascist state. Neo-Nazism is a global phenomenon with organized representation in many countries and international networks.
So what they're trying to push is that he was a far right supporter.
Yeah. Okay. So now Wikipedia calls it neo-Nazi is a global phenomenon. They call it a phenomenon like it's a good thing, with organized representation in many countries and international networks. It borrows elements from Nazi doctrine, including anti-Semitism, ultra-nationalism, racism, xenophobia, ableism, which we're seeing. They're enabling people to be messed up on the worst drugs in the world constantly. Homophobia, anti-communism and creating the Fourth Reich. Holocaust denial is common in neo-Nazi circles. So those are your two descriptions of the word Nazism, neo-Nazis.
But I'm not seeing any of us doing that. Rabbits. Being Hispanic or being black or being anything does not make you immune from being a white supremacist. Anna Navarra, The View. So that's what they're pushing is
Well, yeah, that goes back to kind of what he said earlier. Rabbit said is, a neo-Nazi is whoever they put that label on them. So the View sets the stage to help that brainwashing come into place that, oh, anybody could be a white supremacist, right? And then they just go ahead and apply the labels to people.
my goodness.
That's the trail they left behind them.
Yeah, I seen pictures yesterday. Oh, it might be over this bridge if it's the same one.
Good grief.
And that's just disgusting.
That isn't bad yet if it's the same video.
And we're just okay with that.
No, I'm just meaning that ain't the bad part yet. Yeah, this is it.
And that's here in Texas?
Yep.
So a lot of that looks like clothes. So obviously they don't need clothes.
Yeah.
They got their new grab bags and they shredded what they had.
Yeah, they ditched everything they brought up with them to that point, and then once they cross over, they get cash and little Ziploc bags or whatever's in there,
and a phone and everything's in there.
Fucking clothes set up with designer clothes and Reeboks and Nikes.
My goodness.
Probably the Border Patrol probably have to clean that mess up too.
Oh, I doubt it.
All the way down the river.
Border Patrol is going to be too busy processing them. I don't know who's going to be expected to clean it up.
I'd make them clean it up. I'd put orange jumpsuits on all of them and get to work. Are you kidding me?
That's against their constitutional rights that they don't have.
I'd have them out there combing the grass.
Yeah, the orange suits would be job security for the Mexico.
They're hollering for water. They're on the other side of the border in the migrant camp that's there, and they won't let them get water.
Wow.
That's so they could blame us for anything that happens to them.
Yeah.
If we were that mean, now why are they coming this way anyway? I agree with Chuck's on that one.
Free ride. They hit the lottery when they get here.
Yep. It's a shame they won't do that for us on disability and stuff and everything. That $1,500 a month that they use to maintain each person. That's what I get all month. And everything.
All those people that
try
just
to live on that.
Yep.
It's rough.
Sorry for the thunderstorm if you hear that.
Oh yeah, here you go, night vision. So
They're
you got
just
people
floating
on
around.
yeah, they got air mattress or air the water mattresses. They're going over there and they're like bringing people across, going back and forth. Because if they're not carrying in a boat, then nobody's going to think about it. But an air mattress that they're going to blow up when they get there and they can go back and forth and float people across. And those are in areas that people were drowning before. Crazy. They had barbed wire out there, and they just pushed it back, and they're coming right through.
Wonder when they get their out of jail card with them bags. I was wondering where they get those at. Probably when they come across the south, probably, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is it. This is on the outskirts of El Paso, just a mile from El Paso. And this is on the U.S. side. They're building their own camps.
Yeah, where do they get those bags from? Are there people just sitting there handing them bags, or
Yeah.
is that they're getting them through processing, or what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Shit, I might go down there and get me one of them bags. I'm an idiot. We're all dumb. We should all just go right down there and get in line. What's our
Yeah.
problem?
Get one of them bags because there'll be money in there. There'll be phone. We got a new phone.
I can seven. You know what I could do with $7 grand a month? Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Shoot, I'd move mountains.
There's one I have, but all I can play is the audio. So I probably have to do the echo cancellation. I can't figure out how to share the video when it gets downloaded.
Well, I think I'm going to jump off of here, guys. I'm getting kind of tired and everything, but I want to wish you all a good night. God bless. And
Thank you,
take
Bruce.
care and
God
much
bless you.
love to you and everybody in the chat and everything. And we'll try to do it again and everything. I really enjoyed it tonight. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you,
Have a good
Bruce.
night,
We'll be
Bruce.
praying for you.
Thank
You
you
take
so
care.
much. I appreciate it too. I want to finish it out with just monitoring you and stuff like that and get stretched out here and see if I can get to feeling better.
Get feeling better, bud. Good hearing from you. You got my number. Holler at me anytime you want, bud.
Okay, I'll do that, Chuck, and we'll see what we can do. But again, much love. God bless. And you guys have a good night. God bless, chat. And you guys take care also. Talk to you soon. Have a good
Take
night.
care, bud.
God bless you, Bruce.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
See if I can play this without making everybody crazy.
And his critics are the men who live in a homeless shelter just yards away from this new facility. CBS 2 political reporter Marsha Kramer is here now with what some are calling a tale of two shelters. Marsha?
Well, Dana and Dick, if you're forced to live in a 65-year-old former psychiatric hospital that's been turned into a men's shelter, you can't help being jealous of the soft landing the city is providing for migrant men newly arrived from South America, especially if you have a bird's-eye view of the new facility.
We get treated bad, they get treated better than us. That's not fair. They treat you wrong like you're lower than nothing.
Gabriel De La Cruz and Lee Brown live in a men's homeless shelter that is about 350 yards as the crow flies from the new tent city for migrants opened by the city this week. But in terms of treatment and quality of life, the centers are poles apart. The pictures tell the tale. Men at the migrant center, who are only supposed to be here for 4 days, have a recreation room with multiple TVs, plush couches, telephones for calling home, Xboxes, foosball tables, and games. The recreation room at the homeless shelter, where men stay indefinitely, has a single TV and uncomfortable molded plastic chairs. That's it. The migrants have a cafeteria with condiments on the table, a rotating menu of South American specialties, even bottled water and soft drinks in coolers. There are no condiments on the tables at the shelter. Water comes from a red and yellow jug, and the meals, overcooked mac and cheese, appears to be a staple.
Oh, the food is gone, man. Forget about it. The food is just garbage, man. It's not cooked well.
Lee Brown says the elevators are always broken.
I'm a diabetic. Right now, I gotta walk up 6 flights of stairs. 7 flights of stairs.
Both men say Mayor Adams should even the playing field.
He should make it even. We've been here for the longest, and we getting treated the worst.
I put the question to the mayor.
This is not about comparing those who need assistance and care from the city. We're not doing that. There's always going to be reasons that people are going to feel as though someone else is getting something better than them. My job is to make sure everyone gets a place to sleep that's safe, 3 meals a day, and the support that they need so they can cycle out of being in the shelter.
The mayor ducked the question of whether the cost of caring for the 21,000 asylum seekers who have now arrived here will force the city to cut other services.
And it's an economic challenge. We need money from the White House. We need to allow people to be able to work.
Well, so far the city has not received a dime from the feds, but the mayor said he was grateful for new border policies that have slowed the flow. Today, for example, only 2 buses arrived from Texas. It used to be 9 or 10 a day. That's what the mayor said. Dick and Dana.
All right, Marsha, thank you.
Okay. Could y'all even hear that?
Yeah, I heard it. We heard it. No, I heard it. Now, I guess my question is, who is funding each of these operations? Obviously, the government is funding the homeless shelters, and that's why they're so run down and not taken care of. But it seems like the other situation, there's more private funding.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right by any means or anything else. I'm just trying to understand it. Where would the government get that kind of money to pay $7,000 a month for anybody like that? Like anybody.
The same way they're getting it to ship over to Ukraine and other places, and there is none. That's just it. It's like it was said earlier, how to take over a country without a shot fired. This is it.
But we know they're getting George Soros, who money, and he's funding this kind of stuff, and his foundations and other rich people are playing along. And it's not just the rich people, it's the corporations too, the companies. We know the companies that are giving them the phones, they're not being bought, they're gifted in a sense. They're just giving them to the migrants, right? So it's not just that it's the government controlling this. There's private corporations, there's private companies here in this land that's sponsoring this. Like I think Chuck said it earlier, designer clothes, all this food, beverages. There is, these are things that are being given in donation from these companies. So it's, and then we go on the other hand and we start buying stuff and we support them. I'm done with all those people. I don't really need to live such a luxury lifestyle where I have a new cell phone every year or whatever. The more I can produce myself and the more I can be self sufficient and help the people around me become more self sufficient, that's the only way I could see the destruction of any of this system or a redoing of any of this system. Otherwise, we're just, waiting around to die, I guess. I don't know, it doesn't sound good to me.
And that's it, is trying to become more self-sufficient, so we're not putting in, if possible, and not supporting the big, because they are foundations. And but you think about um, all the really rich people, all the athletes, all the people who are making millions of dollars that are donating to charities so that they get a tax break. And so if they're donating to these foundations, because they make it sound like they're good foundations, Red Cross and what have you, um, that's where they're getting the funding. Plus taxpayers, possibly.
Yeah, NGOs, non government organizations.
Yes. That's it. Okay. Here's one.
You have hundreds of migrants here. You have hundreds of migrants crossing the border. What you guys just witnessed was the front lines here in El Paso, Texas at the border highway. There's hundreds of migrants crossing daily, thousands of migrants in downtown. Our city is being overrun. We have a serious invasion here and we need help. We need the federal government to step in and stop these people. We need to get these guys to go back to their country and not to wait here. What's happening is that they're going to Greyhound stations or they're getting court dates, prolonged court dates, and just they're releasing them into the city, and there's lots of crime. Like a little boy that was at about 16-year-old boy that was at a shelter here. One of those migrants stabbed him to death. So there's crime that they're not reporting happening here in our city. But I'm here. I live here. I'm from El Paso and I see this daily. So don't believe the reports these are refugees. These are not refugees. I've never seen refugees with brand new Jordans. I've never seen refugees with cameras taking videos and TikToks. I've never seen refugees smoking vapors. I mean, these people are not refugees.
Bonnie, you might be muted if you're talking.
Yeah. I don't know if that was my computer or because it does that sometimes.
Yeah, I said goodie bags and I was muted.
Yeah, and so that's the ones that are here legally that paid so much money to get that done legally and waited all those years to do it. They're furious, and they have a right to be. Yep, Carol, 10 years away. What does this mean, James? Hawk, James is asking what you think about that.
I don't know. That's interesting.
I think Hawk stepped away.
I think sometimes when you play the videos, it mutes everybody. So
It will, but I think it unmutes after you're done. But that's
Yeah, it
probably
does.
oh,
Okay, here's another one. It is the worst movie ever.
To remember that the head of the Proud Boys, his name is Enrique Tarrio. The Proud Boys is a white nationalist group. Look, being Hispanic or being black does not, or being anything, does not make you immune from being racist, from being radicalized, from being a white supremacist, from being evil, from being homicidal. And we are seeing it over and over again. There are people, you know, they don't see themselves as what they are.
Yeah.
But
yeah. We know them dumbasses on that show know everything.
yeah, I don't watch it. They are clueless, brain dead,
Karens.
crazy women. I don't know if they're going through menopause or what's up with them, but they are just
she's a white suppressionist. She's keeping the white man down. She's got that brown privilege. She could probably kill someone downtown Manhattan and get away with it.
oh yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
It's
Uh,
racist people like that that radicalize other people and turn them against, certain groups and races and genders and stuff. It's a very narrow-minded way of thinking and being.
Dagmar, that's good. That's, I mean, I know a lot of people here on visas. I don't know how long a visa lasts, but these are really hard workers. And
Oh,
so I would,
there's different visas and different ways of getting to the United States. There's student visas, there's work visas, there's a lot of different ways. And if, for example, you can petition, let's say if you have someone you want to come to the United States, you can petition and sponsor them to do that, to bring them here. And they call it like some kind of sponsorship, but you're basically taking on financial responsibility for them. Right? You're telling the government that, yeah, I want them to come here and they'll be fine with me. They're not going to be a burden to society. They're not going to be a burden to the system or anything like that. There's many ways to legally come to the United States. And you're right, it does upset a lot of people, or everybody I know that came to the United States legally, to see that not only is this being rubbed in their face, but these people not only came to the United States legally, but had paid tens and thousands of dollars to get their citizenship, right? Attorneys. It's interesting because they get sworn in, they have to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. There's like a little quiz they have to take that probably most of us that were born here and grew up here wouldn't really. I guess maybe the newer generations might not know as much on those quizzes or whatever. and the questions they ask you.
Yeah,
Now they're
and
just walking through getting paid. Sorry, Bunny.
but they swear to be a American citizen, don't they?
Yeah, they swear in. They say the Pledge of Allegiance. They put their hand. I can't remember. They do raise their right hand. I don't think I saw them put their hand on the Bible or anything like that. But they raise their right hand, and but now these guys are just walking right in, getting paid, and disappearing. There's no buy into the country. There's no more, and that was the idea of the whole citizenship process. You know, you're joining the cult over here now. I know it sounds goofy, but it's basically what it is. It's buy-in. It's you're assimilating, right?
Right. Ha ha, funny. Okay, here's another one.
Of dollars worth of food from migrants tossed in the trash at a Manhattan hotel. That's according to a worker at the Row NYC hotel near Times Square who says large bags of sandwiches, bagels, and other food get thrown out daily because the migrants would rather make their own food. Hotel employee Felipe Rodriguez says some guests are using hot plates to cook in their rooms. That's against fire safety regulations. Rodriguez says they've even had to take the pots and pans away from guests.
The food is one of the most saddest issues that we face at the Row. I like helping people, but how is it that you take all this money and we got people that are homeless in New York City that can't even get a sandwich?
Yeah, that was the one with the food they're just throwing away. And he says that we have all these people homeless that can't even get a sandwich. So why is he allowing this to happen in his city?
I want you guys to all think about the last time you went to the grocery store, what you bought and how much it cost you. I've seen a lot of things in chat rooms or in chat here on Facebook where everyone says stuff like I went to the grocery store, bought 2 bags of groceries and dropped $100. Right?
Yeah.
And there they are just buying it to throw it away, not even giving it to somebody that's hungry.
I don't think they're here to be nice to us. I don't think they care about us. And so that's the thing too, is the interacting with them, it's going to be difficult, I think. If they're already coming here with that attitude where they don't like Americans, but they want to live in America.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. They want the USA minus the peaks. Well, we have a problem there.
Well, this,
It's a package deal.
Well,
Go ahead, Ronan. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, you didn't at all. I was just kind of thinking, and I mean, we have little boroughs now of all kinds of cultures that we're not aware of. I mean, I could say stuff like there's Chinatowns and stuff like this, and just different little boroughs of in cities, but there's also, groups of people. I think it's some sect, there's some old German descendants or something like that in Arizona, and they've just been there forever and no one bothers them and stuff. So the one thing that does concern me is that they can easily just hunker down and wait. They're going to get the cities. That's the 15-minute cities are for them. All that stuff's going to be right there. They're going to sign right up for it. They're going to go there. They're going to be super happy about it, right? They're going to, or whatever.
Hopefully.
But that's where the vote power comes in, right? Like everything
Right.
They're not going to be producing anything. They're going to be worthless consumers, basically.
You can live here and get this if you put this check mark right here. This one is, I think, Kamala's books. I don't know if y'all have seen them. I don't know if she wrote them, but she's passing them out to the children of these immigrants.
Well, that's how they look. So what happened? She didn't give them those books. A company bought hundreds and thousands of books from Kamala Harris. This is the way they wash their money and they make millions and they get rich. She didn't offer.
Mm.
I don't have any factual basis behind that, but just knowing how they are, some company bought hundreds and thousands of copies of that book from her to make her rich, and they got to get rid of them. So here you go, kids at the border, right?
Yeah, that's called the set of books is called On Your Knees Politics 101.
Second your way to the top.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
They say in California, her knee prints are more prevalent than the stars out there.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I've seen videos, or I don't know if you guys saw it or not, of her back in the '90s with Montel Williams. Her and some other freaky girl that them two and Montel Williams used to be all over the place.
We need to find a product and get a face to this product and basically tell these people you're racist if you don't include these products or our product in their gift bags and make them buy like whatever product it is from us. Just drain them of their money. How's that
Right?
sound?
That's a good idea.
That's why them sandwiches were thrown out. They know what's in that shit, even though they come from a third world country. They eat better stuff in them damn sandwiches.
Yeah, right? They're like, this ain't organic. What is this? Government cheese? Get it out of here.
Okay, here's another one. And then I'm fixing to close it down pretty soon.
Migrants battle for free bread, potatoes and eggs thrown at them. This is Europe. The muddy tent city at Greece's northern border with the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, Idomeni. Chaotic, and conditions show little sign of improving. Aid groups say more than a third of the people here are children. Many struggle to sleep in their cold and flooded tents.
We are in Europe from 20 days ago. I'm in Europe, but I cannot find even a safe place. Now I'm fighting the nature. In Syria we were fighting ISIS. Now we are fighting the nature, and I think it's worse than ISIS. ISIS have a limit, but the nature has no limit.
Many people have run out of money, so they stay here, getting up early every day to scramble for firewood and food.
Burn some of that trash. That paper will burn and keep you warm too.
Yep.
Clothes.
I guess the difference between those are actually refugees more so than migrants. They're fleeing, a war in their
Yes.
country. I guess that kind of makes a little more sense to me. The folks down south, they're just coming up here. They're not fighting a war. They're running from it. They should be fighting a war for their freedom, for their, get the mob or what are they, cartels. Yeah, get them out of there. Fight
Mm-hmm.
those guys. But instead, they're just running up here. I guess they're not.
That's
I
why I
see that
called
in
it a
the
lottery ticket for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing to worry about here.
No, nothing to see.
It's pretty much normal from yesterday to today and last week. It is daily increases. It's still in the normal.
Yeah, if it was anything else, I'd be worried.
I don't know. Great minds need to get together and figure this out.
The whole world needs to sit down and smoke a joint all at the same time. The whole world.
Will that give us a solution?
No, but it'll sure as fuck calm people down for a little bit.
And hopefully not get pale faced in a banana patch like I did earlier.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to step away a minute there. I had to go feed the puppies, and then on my way back, I kept thinking about this conversation that had been going on in chat about cake. And the only thing I got close to cake is hot chocolate, so I made a cup of hot chocolate. Thanks, no damn cake.
I don't know where the cake conversation came from a while ago. I saw that.
I'm kind of thinking ice cream sounds good now.
Oh, see, now you got to go.
Well, you have ice cream, Hawk. You got hot chocolate ice cream in your hand.
Yep. Basically just warmed up.
There you go.
Your story. I'm going to let you tell it any way you want.
That's
All
like
right.
Vicky likes a Wendy's Frosty and French fries, and she dips it in there, and so's my youngest. I was like, that's messed up.
Yep, Frosties from Wendy's. Yep.
Yeah. No.
I don't even like chili on my fries.
See, I remember when Wendy's first came out, they didn't have straight cut fries. They had crinkle fries.
Yeah, and then they had them slivers almost like McDonald's for a long time. And now they got them, they look like Burger King.
Yeah, natural cut or whatever they call it.
Everything is closed.
Guys, make up your freaking minds.
Y'all need to stock up on things. It's real easy to make ice cream with a banana and some cocoa if you want chocolate. I've made them for my daughter, and ice.
I remember making ice cream with my grandma when I was a kid, and I don't know what she put in there. She put the milk and just ice and salt, I think, just in or whatever
Vanilla.
it was. Yeah. And then she had me rolling this thing around on the floor. I'm like, Grandma, what am I doing? She's like, don't worry, you'll see.
Exercise.
I was a kid. It was kind of like a game. It was something fun. It's like, all right, I could roll something on the floor around for a while.
Yeah.
It was good. I remember it was good, but it wasn't as like solid or like how, it was kind of more like maybe a custard.
Yes. And that's the way this was. I can't remember why she was having to have the smoothies and ice cream, but she enjoyed them. I mean, and she's a junk food junkie.
They got these strawberry and cream bars at the store. They're supposed to be good for you. That's no sugar or whatever. They're strawberry. I've got them before. It tastes like some awesome strawberry ice cream, but all it is like strawberries and cream that's frozen on a stick.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, y'all make me want shit you can't go get.
I can remember way back in the day when we would take just Kool-Aid or Country Time lemonade in Tupperware. Back to that again. Had these little popsicle things, but I've seen them at Dollar Tree and stuff.
Yeah,
And
they get. Oh, sorry.
yeah, and you just pour the juice in there and put the lid on it, and it's got the stick in the lid, and put it in the freezer, and then there you go.
I
And
used to do that with ice trays with stick Kool-Aid in them.
yes, you can do it with ice trays or whatever, and Kool-Aid juice, like pineapple juice or something like that.
Yep, we used to do that with ice cube trays and then put a piece of tin foil on top and then poke the toothpicks through so they would stand up and then you had a little ice cube, like a
Yes.
Kool-Aid ice cube on a toothpick.
And that's what we do during the summer. I use lemonade or just whatever, and it's something to cool you down when it's so hot. And the kids love it.
We tried Pepsi once and it wasn't as good.
Yeah.
But sometimes we would put a Pepsi can in the fridge and let it freeze and then just eat it like that. We'd open it so it wouldn't blow up.
Yep.
It's what we had to do before the internet and all this other stuff. We figured it out.
Ew. Fries on top. Fries. Are they talking about fries and
Talking about
shade?
putting fries on top of chili.
Oh, on top of chili. I thought they were talking about milkshakes.
I like a hunk of cornbread in the bottom, chili, then cheese on top.
Isn't that what Wendy's tries to get you to do, to eat their Frosties with the French fries?
They have every thing where they pour the fries in the bottom and put chili on them, which I like their chili, but not fries.
But do you know what happens to that French fry when you get it ice cold? That oil. Yeah. No.
Vicky and Andrew both different, and I'm like,
No. Well, y'all, I'm going to shut this one down in 3.5 hours.
Fine, be that way.
I appreciate all of y'all coming.
Hey, Ragnar.
All of y'all on panel, everyone in chat.
All right. Well, I guess have a good night then.
Have a good night, everybody. It was good speaking with you all.
Yeah.
You
Always.
take care, Hawk.
All right. Yeah. If you noticed, I posted that I'm doing one on Wednesday night.
I saw that was said. I haven't seen the post yet, but I will make sure to put a notify me on it.
Yeah. Wednesday at 5 my time.
Okay. Did anybody drop a link for that?
I'm not sure. I think somebody might have dropped a link for the channel for 18.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing it on. And we got 22 as a backup. So if 18 gets taken down right away, well, we got 22 we can jump right over to. So I'm fine with that.
We look
good night,
forward
everybody.
to it.
Hey, Drew, Ron.
All right. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye, Hawk. Y'all have a good night. Thank you all for your input. Much appreciated. Please stay safe, and I hope that y'all got a good message tonight. Somewhere along the way, follow your gut. Okay, thank you, Deb. I appreciate that. Love y'all. God bless you, and good night.